Chapter 3173. The young lady was called Luan Shi. She was less than 1,000 years old, and she was only at the initial stage of the Saint King realm. However, she was only a bit weaker than Yuyang. She came from a special race, and her family was gifted with amazing skills. Usually, when young masters and young ladies came to banquets, they would wear fancy robes and dresses. However, this young lady was wearing a golden armor, which was quite eye-catching. Luli had noticed her a long time ago because she was one of the other golden flowers. She was outstanding in terms of looks and temperament. It was normal for the Grim Reaper to challenge each other, as long as it was not life-threatening and it was not in the headquarters or the stronghold. Also, as long as it was not a task for one of the Grim Reaper to assassinate another, the headquarters would not care. The Grim Reaper was not a force with strong restraints, so it was more lax in this regard. Therefore, when Luan Shi issued the challenge, the other young masters and young ladies' eyes lit up. They were looking forward to this fight. Luli, on the other hand, didn't want to start a fight. Luan Shi didn't look like a delicate young lady, and she gave him a sense of danger. Therefore, if he wanted to defeat Luan Shi, he must use some trump cards. Trump cards were meant for killing and saving lives. How could he show them so easily? However, if he didn't defeat Luan Shi today, the young elites of the Grim Reaper would not be convinced. By then, there would be a lot of trouble. Luli was prepared to stay at the Grim Reaper for a long time. He didn't want anything unfriendly to happen. Luli, Yuyang said, Luan Shi is very honorable. She is the descendant of the most powerful one. She is powerful as well. I suggest you don't fight with her. If you don't use your full strength, it will be troublesome. If you do, and you kill her, it will be even more troublesome. Yuyang's words gave Luli a headache. He didn't say anything. Luan Shi spoke again. What is it? As the trump card of the Grim Reaper, you are afraid of a challenge from a Golden Reaper? How can you keep a foothold in the Grim Reaper if people know about this? Sure. Luli made up his mind. He said calmly, Is there a better place? Just the two of us. I don't like outsiders watching. Sure. Luan Shi readily agreed. The surrounding elites were instantly disappointed. They really wanted to see what was so special about this new death god, but now it seemed that they wouldn't be able to see it. Please follow me to the arena. Luan Shi took the lead and walked out. Yuyang smiled bitterly and took Luli with him. The rest of the elites all caught up. Although they couldn't watch the battle, they definitely wanted to know the situation as soon as possible. The arena wasn't big, just inside a small castle. After Luli entered the castle, he knew that it must be connected to several small worlds. The real arena was in the small worlds. As expected, Luan Shi walked into a side palace. There was a teleportation door in the side palace, and there was a steward guarding it. Seeing a group of young masters and young mistresses enter, a look of worry appeared on his face. Apart from us, no other martial artists are allowed to enter. Luan Shi ordered the chief steward in a domineering manner. Then she went in first. Luli and Yuyang nodded. Just as they were about to go in, a voice rang in their minds. Punk Lu, you can hurt her, but don't humiliate her, let alone kill her. This girl is the precious descendant of our Grandmaster. It was Emperor Yan's voice. Luli nodded and stepped into the teleportation door. After a flash of white light, Luli found himself in a desert. Luan Shi was standing on top of a hill, holding a golden long sword in her hand and wearing a golden armor. Her pretty face made her look like a goddess of war. Luli checked with psychic power after he came in. Then he nodded and said, Lady Luan, let's have some fun? Luan Shi snorted and said coldly, Who wants to have some fun with you? Since we're going to fight, then we will try our best, regardless of life and death. Our Grim Reapers will either not make a move, or we will kill you in one move. Don't worry. If you can kill me, then it is your ability. Our race will not say another word. Luli rolled his eyes. Why was this little bitch so hostile? He didn't offend her, did he? This was the first time they met. How come they were like mortal enemies? What Luli didn't know was that Luan Shi had tried to become an ace Grim Reaper 3 times in a row without any success. On the other hand, another golden flower, Imo Qianqian, who shared the same fame as her, had succeeded. Therefore, she was in a bad mood recently. Luli, This ace Grim Reaper that came out of nowhere was an Emperor Realm warrior? This made her even angrier. How could she play around so casually? Are you ready? The sword in Luan Shi's hand glowed. Her chi and energy began to grow. From a pretty girl, she had turned into a Grim Reaper. I will give you one chance. Luan Shi raised her sword, pointed at Lu Li, and said, Our race will not do anything. But when we do, we can be horrifying. If you think you're no match for me, you can get down on one knee and admit defeat. Otherwise, don't blame me if you die. Lu Li smiled lightly and shook his head. Even though Luan, she seemed to be very powerful, her temperament and character were very similar to Lady Li and Lady Yuan. Make your move, Lu Li said. Then he vanished in midair. He used stealth skill and moved to another place. Stealth skill? Ridiculous. Luan Shi sneered when she noticed that Lu Li had disappeared. Many warriors of the Grim Reaper knew stealth skills. There were many skills in the Grim Reaper that could detect and break stealth skills. Lu Li, a warrior that had just joined the Grim Reaper, was showing off his stealth skills? Wasn't it funny? Soon, she realized the joke was not so funny. She released several skills, but she couldn't find Lu Li's location. Lu Li seemed to have been teleported out and was no longer in this world. Buzzing, her hands were shaking and ripples spread out to check the surroundings. However, nothing happened in the space. Luan Shi had lost track of Lu Li. No way, no way. While flying fast, Luan Shi used all kinds of skills to search for Lu Li's whereabouts. However, after an hour, she found nothing, not even a trace of Lu Li. Lu Li. After a while, Luan Shi roared furiously. Are you a man or not? How do you know how to hide? Come out and fight me if you have the guts. Are you sure it's an elite nurture by the Grim Reaper? An ethereal voice suddenly sounded, as if it came from the ninth heaven. It was impossible to lock onto the source of the voice. What is our Grim Reaper? It was a killer and assassin. We, the Grim Reaper, are making a move, and you're telling me to do it fair and square? Are you sure you're not here to joke around? Luan Shi's pretty face showed a trace of shame and anger. She rolled her eyes and said, Aren't you the ace of death? Why don't you show me your strength and suppress me? Even if I lose, you have to convince me wholeheartedly. All right, today, I will make you sincerely convinced. Lu Li's voice was as loud as thunder. As soon as Lu Li's voice faded away, a ray of light came out from the void. Following that, a huge beast roared. At that moment, the space nearby seemed to be frozen. P.S. After the 15th day of the first month of the lunar year, we'll resume our daily schedule at midnight. Everyone, let the old demon rest for a few days. Third Sect Leader. Chapter 3174. As soon as the Thunder Beast came out, she felt cold all over. She couldn't even move. The ancient beast was so powerful, and it was so close. At that moment, she felt like a mountain was pressing down on her. Even her soul was trembling. What kind of race is this? How can it turn into such a horrifying beast? An idea came to Luan Shi's mind. Many races could transform and become more powerful. But wasn't Lu Li a human? How could he become an ancient beast? No, this is a thunder beast. Luan Shi finally came to her senses. She shouted, Lu Li, stop. I admit defeat. Thunder Beast was one of the 10 ancient beasts. No matter how Lu Li got it, Luan Shi was no match for it. She couldn't even defeat the Thunder Beast, and she couldn't find Lu Li himself. What was the point of fighting? Luan Shi finally understood why Lu Li could become the trump card of the Grim Reaper. Not to mention anything else, just this Thunder Devastator beast alone was enough for him to get this status and treatment. Buzzing, the Thunder Beast disappeared. Lu Li appeared in front of Luan Shi and said coldly, Lady Luan, every trump card of the Grim Reaper has its trump card. It can be of great help at critical moments. If it is leaked, it will be useless. So, I hope you can keep this matter about me a secret. Luan Shi snorted and said, I don't need you to remind me. I grew up in the Grim Reaper. How can I not know this? Really? Lu Li said with a faint smile. You wanted to fight me fair and square just now. Luan Shi was enraged. She glared at Lu Li and rushed towards the teleportation formation. She disappeared in a flash. Many warriors of the Grim Reaper had gathered outside. Apart from the dozens of elites, there were many onlookers as well. Many young masters and young ladies' eyes glowed when they saw Luan Shi coming out. Luan Shi came out unscathed. Did it mean that she had won? The young masters and young ladies gathered around and were about to ask some questions when Luan Shi left with a gloomy face without saying anything. While the warriors were confused, the teleportation formation glowed. Lu Li walked out, unscathed as well, but he had a light smile on his face. Yu Yang grinned and walked over. He nodded and said, "Good. We have settled this peacefully." Hee hee. Lu Li smiled lightly and glanced over to the elite young masters and young ladies. The young masters and young ladies immediately understood that Lu Li had won this fight, and he had won it easily. The Grim Reaper was indeed the Grim Reaper. The young masters and young ladies looked at Lu Li and then left. Yu Yang secretly gave Lu Li a thumbs up and brought him back. Before Yu Yang left, he told Lu Li that he would make arrangements the next day. By then, he could easily arrange for several Saint Kings to go to the Middle King realms, and they would set off immediately. Phew! Lu Li exhaled. He had joined the Grim Reaper and subdued the young masters and young ladies. His situation was stabilized. The Blood race had been destroyed, and the Desolate race had not appeared for a long period of time, so they should be temporarily safe. I'll release Miss Li when I get back. Lu Li thought about it. Leaving Miss Li was a ticking time bomb. He could not kill her, and keeping her by his side would eventually provoke the mighty figures of the Desolate race. It was better to let her go. As for whether Miss Li could return to the Desolate race alive, that was not something Lu Li cared about. Lu Li was about to take a break when a maid came in and reported that he had a guest. Lu Li asked and was surprised. It was also the Grim Reaper's trump card, Mo Qianqian. Lu Li hurried out and invited Mo Qianqian in. She was of the same rank as him, a descendant of a powerful warrior. Lu Li wanted to live a good life in the Grim Reaper, so he could not offend a young lady like her. Lu Li asked, "Lady Qianqian, why have you come to my mansion? What is it that you have condescended to come to my mansion?" Mo Qianqian didn't drink any tea. She sat elegantly and charmingly. She looked at Lu Li with clear eyes and asked directly, "Brother Lu, are you a human?" Lu Li nodded with certainty. Yes, a pure-blooded human. The Mo family was also human, which was why Lu Li treated Mo Qianqian so well. There were not many humans in the Chaotic Star region. Naturally, Mo Qianqian felt a sense of kinship when she met Lu Li. With Lu Li's confirmation, Mo Qianqian put on a smile. She felt like she was bathing in a spring breeze. The entire hall seemed to be brighter. She combed her hair and became more charming. She said with a smile, "We are both humans, so we are friends. You are the Grim Reaper's trump card, so it is fate that brought us together. If you need any help in the future, just let me know. I will do my best." Mo Qianqian was extending an olive branch on behalf of the Grim Reaper, but she didn't show any intention of recruiting him, which made Lu Li feel comfortable. They were both Grim Reapers. If the Mo family were to stand out too much, the other powerful warriors would have a problem with it. Mo Qianqian just wanted to make friends with Lu Li. Lu Li didn't have any support in the Grim Reaper. As a human being, it was only natural that he would lean towards the Mo family. The internal situation of the Grim Reaper was unclear. Lu Li couldn't rely on any race. He didn't like joining a race or a family. But since Mo Qianqian had shown kindness, he wouldn't be so stupid as to push her away. He said with a smile, "Thank you, Lady Qianqian. I am new here, and there are many things I don't know. If I need any help in the future, I will ask for your help." Lu Li gave a response, but not very enthusiastic. He indicated that he wanted to be friends with the Mo family, but he also hinted that he wouldn't consider it now, but he might in the future. Mo Qianqian didn't go on with this topic. She looked at Lu Li with interest and asked, "Young Master Lu, if I may ask, are you really at the Emperor realm?" Lu Li smiled. He didn't try to hide anything. He said bluntly, "Yes, I came from a poor family. It is a blessing that I can reach the Emperor realm at this age. It will take me some time to reach the Saint King realm. Mo Qianqian's curiosity grew. She had been staring at Lu Li's eyes. Her instinct told her that Lu Li wasn't lying. He was at the Emperor Realm. It was because Lu Li was at the Emperor Realm that she was so curious. A Emperor Realm warrior had become the trump card of the Grim Reaper, and he could defeat Luan Shi easily. Lu Li must have many secrets. Qianqian, I admire you. Mo Qianqian was a smart girl with a high EQ. She didn't ask any more questions. She stood up with a smile, bowed, and said, "There is still a long way to go. I will leave now. I'm looking forward to going on missions with you, young Master Lu." Lu Li stood up to see her off. He nodded and said, "I am looking forward to seeing you, Lady Qianqian." Mo Qianqian smiled and left. She only stayed in Lu Li's manor for the time for one incense stick to burn. After Lu Li saw her off, Yu Yang came back. "What is it?" Lu Li asked in confusion. Yu Yang pulled Lu Li in and activated the divine rune before he said, "Lu Li, I have a piece of advice for you. Don't get in touch with this Mo Qianqian and don't even think about pursuing her. Many young men in the Grim Reaper have been played by her. She is a famous seductress of the Grim Reaper. She is in charge of killing and not burying. Also, this lady is the exclusive property of the #1 genius of the Grim Reaper. If you're too close to her, she will hate you. Then you'll be in big trouble." "#1 genius?" Lu Li frowned and asked, "He didn't come tonight?" "Yes, he has been in closed-door cultivation for more than 30 years. Yu Yang nodded and said with envy in his eyes, "This is a real monster, a talent that comes only once in a million years. I think when he comes out, his combat ability will be infinitely close to the completion of the Grim Reaper." Lu Li was surprised. He thought about it and asked, "How old is he now?" Yu Yang's answer stunned Lu Li. "Less than 3,000 years old." Chapter 3175. In the Middle King Realm, anyone who could reach the Emperor Realm before 5,000 years old would be considered a genius. In the Infinite Region, Lu Li thought it was already a genius to reach the Saint King Realm before 5,000 years old. But now, he was told that there was a genius who was very close to the complete realm before 3,000 years old. But on second thought, Lu Li could understand. Lady Yuan was younger, and it was almost certain that she would reach the level of a consummate warrior. Lu Li could understand it. Disciples of the major races had good genes. None of them would be too talented. Some races had a large population. Therefore, there would often be some talented geniuses. What was more, these races had the best resources in the world. As soon as the geniuses appeared, they would receive the best training. These major races had their own way of training their offspring. The god of death might be stricter than the other races. Not only would they have to improve their realms, they would have to be strong as well. Lu Li already had a good impression of Mo Qianqian after Yu Yang's reminder. He put her on a list of people he should avoid too much contact with. The Mo family could be contacted more, but it was better to keep a distance from this lady. Lu Li never had a good impression of a woman who liked to play around with men. On top of that, the god of death was a genius. Lu Li didn't want to get into trouble. Over the years, he had been on the path of getting into trouble and getting into trouble. All he wanted was to rest and cultivate for a while in peace. Since this genius was a talent that was hard to come by in a million years, he must be valued by the 9 powerful warriors. Once they fought, Lu Li would be the one to suffer. The 9 powerful warriors of the god of death were not afraid of warriors at the complete realm when they worked together. That being said, the god of death was not a warrior at the complete realm. It seemed that this genius had a good chance to reach the complete realm. By then, the god of death's abilities would be enhanced. Therefore, this genius could not be messed with. Once he set his eyes on him, there would be endless troubles. The next day, Yu Yang brought 5 Saint Kings with him. One of them was at the middle stage of the Saint King realm. He was more powerful than the immortal of guilty heaven and was about the same as divine ancestor Yuan. The 5 old men were very respectful to Lu Li. Even though they found out that Lu Li was only at the Emperor realm, the god of death was still the god of death. They could not belittle him. The fight between Lu Li and Luan Shi had been known. How could these Saint Kings disrespect Lu Li? Furthermore, Yu Yang had personally gone to look for them. How could they not treat him well? Lu Li didn't try to be polite. According to Yu Yang's instructions, he was still cold and indifferent. The more it was like this, the more humble the attitude of those saint emperors became. Even though they were helping him for free, they were extremely enthusiastic. That's the situation. Lu Li explained the mission to the saint emperors. Then, he took out his tokens and gave one to each of them. This token was his proof of identity. The Lu family and the immortal of Tianzi would trust these saint emperors when they saw the tokens. Lu Li recorded a stamped stone and handed it to the most powerful saint emperor. Buzz, with that said, Lu Li took out 5 jade bottles and threw one to each of the saint emperors. He said calmly, "There are 3 drops of poisonous liquid in here. If you are in danger, you can use them." Poisonous liquid? The few saint emperors blinked their eyes. What was the use of poison? Even a powerhouse could easily force the poison out, right? Poisoning wouldn't work, would it? Hee. Lu Li looked at the strongest mid-Saint King and said, "Why don't we try it on you? But if we do, you will suffer a little." Seeing that all the saint emperors were looking at him, that mid-saint emperor made up his mind and said, "Lord, if you want me to try, I will try." Buzzing, Lu Li's hand glowed. He wrapped a drop of poisonous liquid with his origin energy. With a flick, he hit the saint emperor's arm. Almost at the same time, Yu Yang made his move. A saber glowed in his hand as he cut at the saint emperor's arm. Ah! With a miserable cry, the saint emperor's arm was cut off at the shoulder. But half of the arm on the ground had turned into bones. There was no blood or flesh, and the bones had turned black. Hiss, hiss, the remaining 4 saint emperors all paled. If Yu Yang had been any slower, this saint emperor would have been reduced to a pile of bones by now, right? Good stuff. The 4 saint emperors' eyes glowed as they looked at the jade bottles in their hands with passion. There were 3 drops of highly toxic liquid inside. Those were 3 secret weapons, treasures that could kill enemies and save one's life. Thank you, Lord Lu. The 4 saint emperors bowed at once. The saint emperor whose arm was cut off took 2 pellets, and the bleeding stopped. For a powerful warrior of his level, it was only a matter of days for him to recover and regrow his arm. He bowed as well. Lu Li waved his hand and said, "Remember to wrap it with origin energy when you use it. Do not touch it. The poisonous liquid will seep into your body upon contact. I will give you another 5 drops after this is done." "Thank you, Lord." The 5 saint emperors expressed their gratitude and excitement and left to get ready for their journey. After they left, Yu Yang put on a smile. He looked at Lu Li without saying anything. "Take it. You will get your share." Lu Li took out a jade bottle. Then he thought of something and said, "Do you know where there is a strong poisonous fog or poisonous liquid? If you can take me there, I will be able to make more poisonous liquid. I will give you 10%. 10% is too little." Yu Yang grinned and said, 20%. Deal. Lu Li didn't bargain. He added, "Not just poisonous fog and poisonous liquid. If there is any strange energy, I can make it. I can make it 10 times more powerful." Impressive. Yu Yang waved his hand and walked out. "Take a good rest. I will go and ask around. Let's go and do something later." For the next period of time, Yu Yang disappeared. Lu Li let Guan Yang out and asked them to live in the mansion as his servants. He also gave them ID tokens so they could go in and out of many places in the Tianyue city freely. Lu Li stayed in the mansion every day while Guan Yang went out to collect information. During this time, many elite disciples of the Grim Reaper had sent him invitations to banquets. Mo Qianqian was one of them. But Lu Li didn't go to any of them. He turned them all down. He knew very well that it was pointless to go to those banquets. Real friends would not become good friends just because they had a few drinks. If you didn't have powerful abilities, it would be useless even if you knelt before them every day. But if you did, they would respect you more even if you were cold and arrogant. After more than a month, some strange guests came to the Tianyue city. They were the Gui's race. The Grim Reaper sent out 2 founding patriarchs to greet them. But the Guis didn't stay. They just left 20 billion celestial stones and called Lu Li over. They left in a hurry after he returned the IOU and the seal stones. When the news spread out, Lu Li became famous again within the Grim Reaper. The young masters and young ladies were all convinced by him. Of the entire chaotic star region, Luli was the only one who could blackmail Lady Yuan and make her give him celestial stones. Luli didn't accept the 20 billion celestial stones. Instead, he proposed to buy elixirs that could refine the body and nourish the soul. The news caused a great sensation. The name Luli became a synonym for a spendthrift. Third Master. Chapter 3176. The reason why Luli was called a spendthrift was that Luli bought elixirs for body refinement and soul nourishment. Body refinement was of little value to many warriors because there were powerful armors in the world. With super armors on, one's defensive abilities would be enhanced. What was more, there were many defensive skills in the world. Therefore, body refinement was of little value. It was slow and meaningless. It was a waste to spend so many celestial stones on elixirs for body refinement. There was no need to buy elixirs for soul. There were several treasured lands in the Grim Reaper. As long as one cultivated there, one's soul would grow naturally. More importantly, unless one wanted to become a powerful soul warrior, it would be pointless to improve one's soul too much. There were many treasures for soul defense in the world as well, such as 9th rank enchanted souls and even holy rank enchanted souls. With enough celestial stones and good luck, one could buy them. There were powerful soul warriors in the Chaotic Star region, but they were all from strange races that had talents in this area. For example, the Soul Clan was the most powerful clan in the Chaotic Sky Star area. Every warrior in their clan was a soul warrior. The two strongest old men in their clan could use their soul attacks to compete with warriors at the Great Perfection Realm. If one didn't have talent in the aspect of the soul, it would be almost impossible to become an expert at the level of great perfection of the soul. It would be pointless to spend countless resources and time only to be able to compete with warriors at the perfect perfection in the end. The higher the level of soul, the harder it was to cultivate. The resources required would increase exponentially. It was the same for body refinement. Luli might have taken out 20 billion in one go, but he couldn't improve much even if he exchanged all of them for elixirs. For many warriors, they would rather buy a 9th rank enchanted soul or a super armor with so many celestial stones. That way, they would be able to achieve what they wanted. Why bother to cultivate? The patriarchs of the Grim Reaper tried to persuade Luli, but he didn't say anything. He himself was not strong in the aspect of true meanings of laws. If he wanted to rely on true meanings of laws to increase his combat power, he would need to spend too much time, and he might not even be able to do so. His physical body and soul already had a very good foundation, which was also the second thing he relied on the most. What was the point of buying a battle armor? If it could be cracked by a powerful warrior, then he would lose 20 billion in one move. Small grains of sand make a tower. Though the path of physical body and soul was difficult, Luli wanted to try. He was satisfied with his current abilities. How much further could he go? Could he still walk forward? Luli wouldn't ask for too much. Celestial stones didn't mean much to him anyway. He didn't mind paying 20 billion. The elder of the god of death brought Luli into the inner treasury after failing to persuade him. The death god's warehouse stored a large number of divine medicines and divine materials. A portion of these were purchased, and a portion of them were obtained by the death god's martial artists and sold to the death god. Luli didn't have to go out to buy the elixirs that he wanted. The warehouse of the god of death could satisfy him. Even if Luli were to take out 2 trillion celestial stones, he would only be able to purchase 1/10 of the death god's inventory at most. In the inner treasury, there was a detailed introduction to every stock of godly medicine, every pill, and so on. The prices were transparent, and there was no deceit. As the ace of the Grim Reaper, Luli had a 20% discount, which was much lower than the market price. Luli spent the 20 billion in one go on buying thousands of herbs. These godly medicines were all top-grade godly medicines. They were of a higher grade than most of the godly medicines he had obtained. Back to his own manor, Luli went into closed-door cultivation to consume the elixirs to improve his body and soul. Actually, if Luli was not in a hurry, he wouldn't have to consume soul-related elixirs at all. He had the Holy Soul bead, which was helping him improve his soul all the time. The speed was not much slower than consuming the elixirs. In tens of thousands of years, Lu Li's soul would have a qualitative leap. Lu Li didn't want to wait. After cultivating in the manor for more than 10 days, he didn't hear from Yu Yang. He went to a treasured place of the death god. As the ace of the Grim Reaper, he had many privileges. For example, he had access to some top-level treasure places. Of course, the length of time varied. The place he entered was called the Realm of Dreams. Cultivating in this realm would automatically strengthen one's soul. As the ace of the Grim Reaper, Lu Li could go there to cultivate for 1 year every 10 years. Each time, he could stay there for a maximum of 3 years. But there was something wrong with this realm. It could confuse one's mind and make one unable to tell the difference between illusion and reality. If one's willpower was not strong enough, cultivating there for too long could lead to problems with his soul. Therefore, he could only stay there for a maximum of 3 years at a time. Lu Li asked Guanyang and the others to wait for news in the manor while he went to the Realm of Dreams with a large number of elixirs. The Realm of Dreams could only be entered from the Heaven's Edge City. The Heaven's Edge City was the only entrance. It was very safe inside. This is amazing. After he went in, Lu Li saw nothing but whiteness around him. But when he closed his eyes, he could feel colorful lights coming from all directions, which made him dizzy. Lu Li closed his eyes and cultivated for a while. Then he exclaimed, "No wonder the warriors of the super races were improving so fast. No wonder the death god had so many young elites. With so many treasure places, it was hard to cultivate slowly." Staying here, Lu Li felt his soul was growing as fast as the Holy Soul bead. The young masters and young ladies of the death god only needed to cultivate here when they had nothing to do, and their souls could be improved easily. This was also the reason why the young masters and young ladies of the death god thought Lu Li was a spendthrift. Cultivating his soul here was fast enough. Why would he waste so many celestial stones? Lu Li didn't think too much. After half a day, he went into closed-door cultivation. He kept consuming elixirs, and his physical body and soul were growing fast. He planned to cultivate here until the 3 years were up. He would not go out unless there was some news from the middle-rank king realms, or Yu Yang had something urgent to discuss with him. He was not in a hurry to go out on a mission. After all, one mission every 10 years was enough. He needed to keep a low profile for a while, so that the outside world and the young masters and young ladies of the death god would forget about him. As an assassin, he must keep a low profile if he wanted to live well. Otherwise, he would die easily. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. The elixirs could be consumed quickly. Lu Li could consume 1 elixir for body refinement and 1 for soul nourishment in a day. He bought more than 3,000 super elixirs with 20 billion. If he were to consume them continuously, it would be gone in a couple of years. After Lu Li went to the Realm of Dreams, there were fewer discussions about him within the Grim Reaper. Gradually, as other things happened, Lu Li was forgotten by other warriors. 3 months later, Solar Feather came back and went to Lu Li's manor. When he learned from Guanyang that Lu Li had entered the Realm of Dreams, he did not tell Guanyang to inform Lu Li. Instead, he told Guanyang to inform him when Lu Li came out. Time flew by. Soon, 1 year and 8 months had passed. Finally, the jade talisman in Lu Li's hand cracked. He opened his eyes and looked around in a daze. He couldn't tell the difference between reality and illusion. He stared blankly at the broken jade talisman in his hand for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. After confirming that the jade talisman was broken, he suddenly stood up, his face filled with excitement. The shattering of the jade talisman could only mean one thing, and that was that there was news from the Middle King realms. Those Saint Emperors had been gone for more than a year, and they had finally sent back news. Third Sect Leader. Chapter 3177. Lu Li came out at once and went to his manor. Inside the castle, he saw a Saint Emperor who was going to the Central King universe with him. Seeing that the Saint Emperor was not in a hurry, Lu Li was relieved. He walked in and asked, "Master He, how is it going?" "Good. Master, he bowed to Lu Li with a smile. He had gone out for a trip. Not only did he owe Lu Li a favor, but he could also get some drops of venom. For them, this was a good deal. Master, he did not rush to tell Lu Li about the Central King universe. Instead, he took out 2 seal stones. When Lu Li activated the seal stones, an image appeared in the air. Inside was a room full of people. Lu Li's heart skipped a beat when he saw them. He almost burst into tears. They were Lu Renhuang, Jiang Qiling, Bai Qiuxue, and Yin Qingxi. Lu Li's family and wives were all here. They were smiling and longing for Lu Li. Not many people were talking in the seal stones. Lu Renhuang told Lu Li that the Lu family was fine and that he could put his mind at ease. They were all looking forward to Lu Li's return. There were 2 other people in the seal stones, Immortal of Heaven Sin and Saint Emperor Xiaoyao. Immortal of Heaven Sin told Lu Li that the armies from the Asmodean Abyss had retreated. All the passageways were destroyed. The 3rd heaven was completely safe. Immortal of Heaven Sin told Lu Li not to worry and that they were looking forward to his return. The seal stones could be faked, but not the expressions and temperament of Jiang Qiling, Bai Qiuxue, and Yin Qingxi. Lu Li was familiar with them. He could tell at once whether the seal stones were real or not, and whether they were being forced. Lu Li's mind had been corrupted. His soul was dominated by negative emotions, and he was extremely selfish. But Xiao Imo helped him before he died. The worm in his soul could gradually eliminate the demonization in him. It had been so many years. Lu Li had recovered a lot. Now that he saw his family and loved ones, he was touched. Right? At that moment, Lu Li remembered something. He seemed to have a strand of his soul stored in the soul-devouring bead. He had forgotten about it, because he was demonized. Buzzing, he used the soul-devouring bead at once and let the strand of soul out. He closed his eyes and said nothing. Guan Yang and the others didn't dare to say anything, and the Heavenly Emperor also waited quietly. After an hour, Lu Li opened his eyes. The anger in his eyes and the evil in him had faded. He had found his true self. It was only a matter of time before he became a normal person again. Echu. Lu Li exhaled a long breath and then asked Master River about it. Mr. He told Lu Li in detail what they saw and heard after they entered the Middle King universe. Lu Li listened carefully and asked questions every now and then. They chatted for more than 2 hours before Lu Li stopped. He put on a gentle smile. His actions in the demonic abyss had saved the 3rd heaven and all the people. The demon abyss had been completely evacuated, and all the passages had been destroyed. Now, the human race had occupied the entire 3rd heaven, and not a single demon abyss soldier could be found. The Lu family returned to the city of mystic armor. Not only that, the Immortal of Sin made the decision to give the entire chilly winterland to the Lu family, Yin family, and the other 4 families as a reward for Lu Li's contribution to the 3rd heaven. The catastrophe of the human race resulted in the destruction of many families and the death of many great Emperor Realm warriors. The power structure had changed completely. The Immortal of Sin and Saint Emperor of Freedom had become masters of the 3rd heaven. Both of them were on good terms with Lu Li. Naturally, the Immortal of Sin and Saint Emperor of Freedom would take special care of the Lu family. With the 2 of them around, the Lu family could develop quickly even if Lu Li passed away. Of the 5 Saint Emperors that went, Master he came back to report. The other 4 Saint Emperors stayed at the city of mystic armor in secret. They asked Master he to come back and asked for Lu Li's instructions on what to do next. If Lu Li wanted to relocate the Lu family here, Master he only needed to crush a jade talisman and they would take action. Lu Li thought about it and said, Master I need you to make a trip. Go and tell them that you can stay here for 10 years. After 10 years, I will give you 10 drops of poisonous liquid as a reward. I will decide whether or not to relocate the Lu family after 10 years. Lu Li had just settled down at the Grim Reaper. His situation was unclear and unstable. Therefore, he didn't dare to move the Lu family here rashly. What if something happened to him here? What would the Lu family do then? Now that the middle rank universe was safe, Lu Li could let the Lu family stay there. Master he and the other 4 Saint Emperors were there. Even if divine ancestor Yuan found the middle-ranked universe and snuck in, it wouldn't matter. Master He and the immortal of sin could deal with him. 10 drops? 10 years? Master He was surprised. Then he said with joy, Lord Lu, this is a generous reward. We are willing to do it for 100 years, let alone 10 years. Okay. The ring on Lu Li's hand glowed. He threw over 5 jade bottles and said, Here are 15 drops. Each of you can have 3 drops. This is an advance payment for you. Give them to them. Come back in 10 years, and I will decide whether or not to relocate the Lu family here. Lu Li recorded 2 more seal stones and asked Master He to give them to the immortal of sin and Lu Renwang. Master He left happily. Brother Guan, after Master He left, Lu Li shouted in a deep voice, Go and invite Yu Yang here. Also, go to the city and buy some good wine. Call your brothers back. Today I want to drink with you. Lu Li was in a good mood. He stopped cultivating and wanted to eat and drink to his heart's content. He had been living a hard life over the years. Today was a rare day for him to be happy. Guanyang could tell that Lu Li was in a good mood. He hurried out. 2 hours later, Guanyang and the others came back. Yu Yang walked in as well. Ha. Yu Yang came in and said with a smile, I thought you were going to stay in there for 3 years. I didn't expect you to come out so soon. Brother, you come on, let's drink. Lu Li asked Guanyang to pour them some good wine. Guanyang spent tens of thousands of celestial stones to buy it. Yu Yang smelled it and poured it away. He curled his lips and said, What kind of lousy wine is this? Come and drink mine. I have the 3rd best wine in the Chaotic Star region. 1 bottle costs 1 million celestial stones. Yu Yang took out an emerald green wine pot. As soon as he opened the lid, a fragrance came out. 1 sniff, and he felt comfortable, as if he was walking on air. Lu Li and Yu Yang drank 3 goblets in a row. They felt comfortable to the extreme. Their souls and bodies were growing. This wine that cost 1 million celestial stones was really of the highest quality. Yu Yang and the others each got a goblet. They took small sips with smiles on their faces. They were extremely satisfied. After a few drinks, Yu Yang threw over a roll of jade silk and said, I have found 3 places you asked me to look for. They're not far from here, and we can go in. Do you want to take a look first? If it's okay, let's go and do something. Lu Li had asked Yu Yang to find a place with strange energy. Yu Yang had been searching for a while, and he even went there himself. That was why it took him so long. Lu Li took it over and glanced at it. Not only was there a map, but every place was clearly marked. After a while, he stopped at an interface. After a closer look, his eyes lit up and he said, If this place is the same as in your information, we can make a fortune if we go and do something. Chapter 3178. According to Sunfeather's information, he had recently discovered a treasure land. This treasure land was currently without an owner. Although there were a few big clans fighting over it, they were evenly matched. No one could claim the treasure land. The treasured land was in a dangerous place. There were strange beasts that were horrifying. Average Dark Realm martial artists would most likely die. Even Saint Emperors could die if they were not careful. The Mayfly World. Warriors had been exploring this place before, but the treasured land was never discovered. It was only recently discovered by an old demon. This treasured land was actually the abode of a powerful warrior. That warrior must have died. The major races were fighting for the treasures in this place. Deity's Pond, Crystal Mountain, and Super Farm. These were the 3 treasures found in the abode. The Deity's Pond contained a pond of divine liquid. The Crystal Mountain was filled with rare crystals, and the farm was the most valuable. The abode might have been closed for too long. The herbs planted in the Deity's Pond were tens of thousands of years old and priceless. Of the 3 treasured lands, the ones that the major races valued the most were the farm, followed by the Crystal Mountain, and then the Deity's Pond. The pond was big and contained a lot of divine liquid, but it was not as valuable as the farm and the Crystal Mountain. There were at least thousands of 10,000-year-old herbs in the farm. The crystals in the Crystal Mountain could be sold for tens of billions of celestial stones. However, the Deity's Pond was what Lu Li valued the most. The Deity's Pond was huge and contained a lot of divine liquid. If he could absorb all the energy in the deity's pond, he could make tens of thousands of drops of purple, godly liquid. The purple godly liquid was good stuff. It could enhance his soul, spirit, or physical body by 10 times. One drop could be sold for 5 million celestial stones. That was to say, if Luli could make all the divine liquid and sell them, he could easily make tens of billions. This was still his estimated price, which was relatively conservative. If he was lucky, he might even be able to sell it for 100 billion. Tens of billions. Hearing Lu Li's words, Yu Yang's eyes glowed. He could get 20% of the profits. It would be easy for him to get 10 billion. More importantly, it would not be difficult for them to get the divine liquid in the deity's pond. Although there were a few great clans fighting over that plane, those clans weren't particularly strong. If Yu Yang revealed his identity, those clans definitely wouldn't dare to offend him. What was more, Lu Li had the strange skill of concealment. He could arrange for Lu Li to sneak in, absorb the liquid in the deity's pond, and then leave. If Lu Li was exposed, he could come out to intimidate the other races. By then, Lu Li could leave easily as well. In other words, the 10 billion celestial stones could be obtained easily. Yu Yang was the descendant of a great lord, but resources were not limitless. The Yu family had a lot of members. Yu Yang wasn't as talented as young Lady Yuan and Mo Qianqian. Thus, he had to think of a way to obtain some celestial stones and exchange them for cultivation resources. The key was that if Lu Li could really do it this time, then he could find more places like this in the future. In that case, Lu Li would be a golden hen that could lay eggs. If he followed Lu Li, he would be able to obtain a huge amount of celestial stones without having to pay too much. I'll make some arrangements. Wait for my news here. Yu Yang left happily. He had many resources at his disposal, and Lu Li was happy to cooperate with him. Yu Yang had arranged everything. Lu Li only had to go in and absorb the liquid. It was a win-win situation. Why not? My physical body has been improved by 4 or 5 times, and my soul spirit has been improved by about 10 times. Not bad. Lu Li checked and was satisfied. It was all thanks to the super elixir that he could improve so much in just over a year. The elixir that he spent 20 billion celestial stones on was really powerful. It was all because of the sacred soul bead and the realm of dreams that his soul spirit could improve so much. Now, Lu Li's physical body should be comparable to that of an initial stage Saint King, and so was his soul spirit. In other words, if an initial stage Saint King released a regular attack, Lu Li could withstand it with his physical body alone. If Lu Li released the divine dragon transformation and used the purple godly liquid, he could even withstand Yu Yang's regular attacks. Of course, if Yu Yang had some special moves, Lu Li wouldn't be able to handle it. At this moment, Lu Li suddenly remembered something. He hadn't consumed the blood essence of the divine dragon that he got from the Great Desolation Valley. Back at the Great Desolation Valley, he didn't have time to consume the blood essence of the divine dragon. Later on, he forgot about it. Now, he finally had the time. It would take Yu Yang some time to make arrangements. Lu Li called Guanyang out and told him something. Then, Lu Li went to his room and activated the inhibition formation. The inhibition formation in his room was rebuilt by Blood Fairy. Blood Fairy had been studying inhibition formations all day long. In this regard, she was becoming more and more skilled. After the inhibition formation was activated, Lu Li looked into the realm of magic. After a quick check, he was shocked. The blood essence of the divine dragon was stored in a corner of the realm of magic. It was still there, but there was only one drop left. The realm of magic had refined the blood essence of the divine dragon. There was only one drop left after the realm of magic had refined the blood essence of the divine dragon. Lu Li was stunned for a moment. Then, he was filled with anticipation. What would happen to his body after he consumed the blood essence of the divine dragon? Would he awaken a new powerful bloodline divine skill? Do I need to consume some other herbs to neutralize the effects of the blood essence of the divine dragon? Last time, when he was consuming the blood ancestor of dragon, Lu Li was in great pain. Now, He was afraid that he could not stand the pressure from such a large pool of blood essence of the divine dragon. After much thought, Luli decided against it. He did not know what kind of herbs he should consume. What if the herbs he consumed could not neutralize the effects of the blood essence of the divine dragon, and could even make it worse? Take it. Luli made up his mind. He took out that drop of blood. As soon as it came out, his blood boiled. He automatically transformed into a dragon. His eyes turned red as well. From his throat came out roars. He seemed to have turned into a dragon. Soon, Luli was rolling around and smashing into the wall again and again. If it were not for the fact that Blood Fairy had reconstructed the inhibition formation, Luli would have smashed a hole in the wall. Luli kept on screaming and rolling around. The muscles on his face were twisted. Hysterical roars came out from his throat. He was like a dragon being burned by fire. That was right. At the moment, Luli did feel he was being burned. Outside his skin, there was a faint blue glow as if there were blue flames. Luli had gone through a lot of pain in his life, but this time he felt the most abnormal. After rolling around for a long time, he passed out. After he fainted, his body once again changed, and it was a very big change. Originally, the scales on his body were silver, but now they had turned into a silver-blue color. His dragon claws had become thicker and longer, and his dragon horns had become twice as long. He was like a purebred dragon, ferocious and violent. He was lying on the ground. If Guanyang and the others could see him, they would think he was a real dragon. Third Master. Chapter 3179. Luli slept for 5 days before he woke up. When he woke up, he felt sore all over. He could barely move his fingers. He opened his eyes weakly and rested for an hour before he took out a pellet. He sat down with his legs crossed after he consumed the pellet. This time, he finally recovered after cultivating for half a day. When he opened his eyes were glowing. He stood up and shouted, "Dragon transformation!" Countless silver-blue scales grew out of his body. His body didn't change much except that the scales had turned from silver to silver-blue. His claws were thicker and sharper. Also, the dragon horns were longer. Good. Luli was satisfied. He must have reached the second level of the dragon transformation. His body was at least 20 or 30 times stronger after the transformation. His body was already at the initial stage of the Saint King realm. Now, after the dragon transformation, he should be at the middle stage of the Saint King realm. If he used the purple divine liquid, not even Yu Yang's strongest move could kill him. Yu Yang was a powerful warrior at the middle stage of the Saint King realm. Above Yu Yang was Lady Yuan's level, and above her were warriors that were infinitely close to the complete Saint King realm. Therefore, the progress of the dragon transformation was significant. Luli was stronger than most relic armors in his strongest state. That was only his defense. His offense had been improved as well. He didn't test the claws, but he believed that he could tear apart regular relic armors. The dragon horns were longer, not just for aesthetics, but for a new skill. The horns could store thunderbolts. When the thunderbolts reached a certain level, the horns could compress the thunderbolts to increase their power. Of course, Luli didn't think the thunderbolts released by the horns would be particularly strong. They could be used to deal with average Saint Kings. The dragon claws didn't mean much to him now. He could kill a Saint King at the middle stage of the Saint King realm with his poisonous liquid, not to mention the Thunder Beast. However, the Thunder Beast and the poisonous liquid were external things that could not be strengthened continuously. But Luli's body could. Therefore, Luli was happy about the progress. Skyscrapers rose from the ground. His body and soul were improving bit by bit. Sooner or later, he would be infinitely close to the complete Saint King realm. By then, nobody would dare to mess with him. In the great world, warriors at the complete Saint King realm were the peak. However, there were very few great perfection level experts, and they were all overlords of a region. They were all supreme powerhouses with statuses, and as long as no one provoked them or their clans, they basically wouldn't make a move against powerhouses who weren't at the great perfection level. Luli checked carefully. Making sure that everything was fine, he stopped cultivation with satisfaction. Yu Yang had not come back yet. Lu chatted with Guan Yang and the others, asking if there was anything new in the Tianhua city. It's nothing. During this time, Guan Yang had become familiar with the city. His brothers had also joined the Grim Reapers. Of course, they were the lowest-ranked Bronze Grim Reapers. With this identity, it would be easier for them to make a living in the Tianhua city. On top of that, they had Lu Li to back them up. As long as they didn't make any trouble or offend the big shots, they would be like fish in water in the city. Guan Yang thought for a moment and added, "It seems that two young masters have been fighting because of Miss Mo Qianqian. One of them was crippled of his Dharma realm in the end. This matter attracted the attention of the law enforcement team. The other was locked up. I heard that he will be locked up for at least 1,000 years. As expected of Demonis Mo, Lu Li smiled. If it were not for Yu Yang's reminder, and Mo Qianqian would be good friends by now. Mo Qianqian was different from other social butterflies. She wouldn't seduce you on purpose. Instead, she would befriend you like a girl next door. She would show her charm bit by bit and play some flirtatious games. In the end, people would fall for her and fall for her. She would keep her distance from any man and wouldn't even let you touch her hand. However, she would be so unpredictable that you would feel like you had a chance. Over the years, more than half of the young masters of the Grim Reapers were pursuing her or had a crush on her. Even the most freaky genius of the Grim Reapers was at her feet. Many warriors thought that Mo Qianqian would say yes to that freaky genius. After all, he was a rare genius that only appeared once in a million years. It was highly possible that he could reach the great perfection realm. Who else would Mo Qianqian marry if she didn't marry such a genius? However, Mo Qianqian didn't show much enthusiasm toward that freaky genius. She treated him the same way as the other young masters. She was neither too close nor too far from him. Sometimes she was passionate and sometimes cold. Nobody knew what she was up to. Over the years, there had been dozens of fights because of jealousy. Mo Qianqian, on the other hand, was enjoying it. It was as if she enjoyed watching those young masters fighting over her. I must stay away from this vixen. Lu Li made a mental note of it and didn't pay much attention to anything else. It was just some strange quest that he had received and some strange things that he had seen. 2 days later, Yu Yang finally came. As soon as he came in, he said with a smile, "Okay, everything is ready. This time, we will go to the Radiance Meteorite universe secretly and sneak into the Mayfly universe under the arrangement of a major family there. You will take the divine liquid from the pond and sneak out. Well, there are runes outside the pond. Can you crack it?" "Not a problem." Lu Li nodded. As long as he could sneak in, he could use stealth skill. Then he could ask Blood Fairy to crack the formation, collect the divine liquid, and leave quietly. Then, "Do you want to go tomorrow?" Yu Yang asked. After Lu Li's confirmation, he added, "Right, this time, Mo Qianqian is going. You must be careful of this vixen. Don't fall into her trap. She likes to flirt with men. She doesn't care if they are killed or buried." Lu Li frowned and said, "Why does she want to go with us? Can't you handle this?" "Yes." Yu Yang forced a smile. "I'm not familiar with those families. If I use my identity to suppress them, the Grim Reaper will punish me. By then, the loss outweighs the gain. If Mo Qianqian does it, it will be easier. There is a young master of the immediate family that admires her and would do anything for her. If she comes, we can go in easily. This time, I will give her 10%. You will get a large share." "Oh." Lu Li waved his hand. "Okay, I will give her 10%. But don't tell her about me. I don't want to be targeted by this vixen every day. That will bring me endless trouble." "I don't think so." Yu Yang patted Lu Li's shoulder and said, "Mo Qianqian still cares about her face. As long as you don't take the initiative, she will not pester you. Don't worry about that." Yu Yang left. Lu Li cultivated for a night and left early the next morning. He made an appointment with Yu Yang to meet outside the city. When they arrived at the appointed place, Lu Li found Yu Yang was already there. On the other side, there was an enchanting beauty standing there with a smile. Lu Li excused himself. He said he was late. Before Yu Yang could say anything, Mo Qianqian said with a smile, "It's just that we are a little early." "Young Master Lu, don't worry. Qianqian heard that you're going to run some errands. with young Master Lu. She was so happy that she didn't sleep the whole night. This time, I could have a good look at young Master Lu. Lu Li and Yu Yang looked at each other. A trace of bitterness appeared on Lu Li's face. Mo Qianqian really was a vixen. If it were not for Yu Yang's reminder, Lu Li would have been on cloud nine. Mo Qianqian really was a master of flirting. Third Master. Chapter 3180. Inside the Grim Reaper, the 9 warriors were the masters. Their offspring were naturally the best young masters and young ladies and the best partners of the Grim Reaper. Mo Qianqian was not only the descendant of a warrior, but also a super powerful warrior herself. The ace of the Grim Reaper could not be rated based on connections. Yu Yang and Luan Shi were powerful as well, but they were not rated. The only one of the younger generation that could be rated as the ace of the Grim Reaper had the best looks and temperament. She had high EQ and IQ. Without a doubt, she was the ideal partner for many men. If it were anyone else, they would be so excited that they couldn't control themselves after being flirted with by Yu Yang. Lu Li had been warned by Yu Yang beforehand, and a strand of the primary soul from the soul-devouring bead was integrated into him. The evil and negative emotions in him were suppressed, and his desires were not as strong. Therefore, Lu Li just smiled at Mo Qianqian's words and replied politely. Yu Yang waved his hand and said, "Are you ready? Let's go then." The 3 of them flew out of this place and took out a battleship. There was a teleportation altar at the Tianyu city, but they were not on a mission for the Grim Reaper. They were on a private mission, so they couldn't be too high profile. The place they were going to was called the Fallen Region of Radiance. It was not too far away, and it would only take them 7 or 8 days to get there. Lu Li went into the battleship, excused himself, and went back to his cabin to cultivate. Yu Yang rolled his eyes speechlessly. Wasn't Lu Li being too conservative? He didn't want to get in touch with Mo Qianqian so that he wouldn't be charmed by her. Mo Qianqian seemed to have sensed something, but she didn't show it. She chatted with Yu Yang for a bit, and then went back to her cabin to cultivate, leaving Yu Yang alone in the hall. Several days passed by quickly. Lu Li and Mo Qianqian were called out. Yu Yang said to Lu Li, "Do you know any disguise skills? We will disguise ourselves as Lady Qianqian's guards." "That's easy." With a white glare, Lu Li became shorter and his back was hunched. His skin aged. He had gone from a young man to an old man in an instant. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian were amazed. Lu Li felt he had become a different person. Not only his qi and energy, his age, and even his realm had changed. He was now at the middle stage of the Saint King realm. What a marvelous skill. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian tried to sense it. They were certain that Lu Li had become a completely different person. Their eyes lit up when they confirmed that he was no longer the same person as before. Mo Qianqian's gaze became even more affectionate, filled with worship and admiration. The Grim Reapers were all assassins. The most important thing for an assassin was assassination. Lu Li's skill and the one that could make him invisible were the most suitable auxiliary skills for assassination. Lu Li asked with a frown, "The Grim Reaper doesn't have such a skill?" The Grim Reaper was a professional assassin. As far as Lu Li could tell, the Grim Reaper must have many skills to disguise himself. After all, the chaotic universe was a large place, and the Grim Reaper had been famous for many years. He must have some skills. Yes. Yu Yang nodded his head and added, "But they aren't as strong as you. When they disguise themselves, they will be able to see some clues. For someone like you who has completely transformed into another person, even your realm has changed. This is something that only a powerhouse would understand. It is a secret that cannot be passed on." "Oh, I see." Lu Li didn't say anything else. Yu Yang began to disguise himself as well. After that, Lu Li could sense something. Yu Yang's disguise skill was not good enough. They were both disguised as old men. Standing behind Mo Qianqian, they looked like 2 King Kong warriors. Mo Qianqian said with a smile, "How can I do that? How can I be protected by 2 young masters?" Huh, Yu Yang replied. Lu Li just smiled and said nothing. Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang arrived at the Fallen Region of Radiance. There was a battleship waiting for them. When they flew over, a young master came with several escorts. Lady Qianqian. The young master greeted them with a smile. His surname was Li. He had reached the Saint King realm at a young age. Both his looks and temperament were excellent, comparable to Yu Yang. Mo Qianqian walked over. She smiled like a blossoming flower, and her words were sincere. It was as if they were old friends. That young master was excited. He brought Mo Qianqian and the others into the fallen region and settled them in his manor. Mo Qianqian and young master Li had reached an agreement. In a couple of days, they would be arranged to go into the Mayfly realm secretly. Young master Li was the descendant of the family patriarch and the most powerful among the young generation. He had a high status and power. Some patriarchs had to respect him. Therefore, it was not a problem for him to bring some people in secretly. For the next couple of days, young master Li took Mo Qianqian to have fun in the Mayfly realm. Lu Li and Yu Yang, on the other hand, had to protect Mo Qianqian. Seeing young master Li fawning over Mo Qianqian, Lu Li and Yu Yang secretly laughed. Mo Qianqian was someone that even the freak Grim Reaper looked down upon. There were more than a dozen young masters like young master Li in the Grim Reaper. Even if Mo Qianqian were to marry, she would not choose young master Li. She would choose a young master from the Grim Reaper. Lu Li disliked Mo Qianqian even more. Even though Mo Qianqian didn't show any intimacy, she was clearly the kind of person that liked to play with spare tires. That being said, clearly, she was the kind of person that liked to play with spare tires. She liked to play with men. How was she different from a social butterfly when she was surrounded by so many outstanding men? Therefore, for the past couple of days, Lu Li had been doing his job as a bodyguard. Apart from protecting Mo Qianqian, he paid no attention to anything else. He barely looked at Mo Qianqian like a cold machine. One day before they set off, Lu Li had just returned to his room when Mo Qianqian walked in. Lu Li asked with a frown, "Lady Qianqian, what is it?" Mo Qianqian said awkwardly, "Young Master Lu, young Master Li and I are just fooling around. I want to borrow his strength to enter the Mayfly realm. I am not a flirtatious girl. Please don't get me wrong." Lu Li paused for a moment. He saw Mo Qianqian lowering her head. Her long eyelashes were trembling. She looked so pitiful and lovely. I think she thinks I'm being too cold to her. Is she unhappy that I didn't stick to her like a fly? Lu Li sneered to himself. But he acted as if nothing had happened and said, "Lady Qianqian, don't overthink it. I know what kind of person you are. I am sorry." Lu Li's words had a double meaning. Mo Qianqian seemed to understand as well. She blushed. She looked at Lu Li sadly and left. She looked as if she had been abandoned by Lu Li. The next day, Lu Li got up early. He met up with Yu Yang and found Mo Qianqian. Then they set off with young Master Li. Young Master Li was leading a group of powerful warriors to the Mayfly realm. Young Master Li said that Mo Qianqian and the other two were the outside help. They were able to blend into the army easily. Third Master Li. Chapter 3181. The Mayfly world was not large. There was a large number of ferocious beasts here, called Mayfly beasts. They were strange beasts that were small in size and lived in the water all the time. Once they flew out of the water to fight, they could only live for 2 hours. After 2 hours, they would become dead bodies. In the water, they were not in combat mode. Once they flew out of the water, they would transform at the cost of burning their life force. Therefore, when Mayfly beasts transformed, they would be ferocious. They would attack any living beings that entered their territory until they died. There were many Mayfly beasts. When one was spotted, there would be a group of them. Once one was spotted, one would be attacked by a group of Mayfly beasts. That was why the Mayfly beasts were so horrifying. Not even Saint Emperors could stand against them. That was also why few warriors came to the Mayfly world before, and the Land of Treasure was only discovered recently. When the Land of Treasure was discovered, the nearby universes and the major races began to fight for it. That being said, the major races nearby were well matched in strength. After several fights, they all suffered heavy casualties. The major races were not stupid. They had all stopped fighting and started to communicate secretly. They were ready to share the resources in the land of treasure. At this rate, all the powerful warriors of the major races would die. By then, what would be the point of getting the treasures and resources? Even though they were negotiating, the major races were still mobilizing their armies and powerful warriors to the Mayfly world. Young Masterly came back to do that. Lu Li and the others were lucky enough to sneak in. Warriors of the Grim Reaper must have something to ask of them. Young Masterly was not an idiot. There was nothing in the Mayfly world. The major races wouldn't hire powerful warriors of the Grim Reaper to assassinate them, or else they wouldn't ask for his help. Therefore, warriors of the Grim Reaper were here to get a share of the loot. Young Masterly understood this very well. But so what? Even if Mo Qianqian took all the treasures and resources in the Mayfly world, so what? For young Masterly's race, the resources would not harm their foundation or help their race soar. However, if he could take this chance to win Mo Qianqian's heart and marry her, then his race would soar at once. Mo Qianqian was the descendant of a powerful warrior of the Grim Reaper. By then, who would dare to mess with them? Their race could also expand rapidly and soar. Mr. Li was very clear about this, but he had forgotten to consider one point. Would Mo Qianqian look at him differently because of his help this time? Would she favor him because of this? Yu Yang was very clear about the details, but Lu Li didn't want to worry about it. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian would make the arrangements anyway. He was only in charge of collecting the divine liquid. If he was discovered, Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian would deal with the aftermath. Since they wanted a share of the profits, they had to do something. They arrived at the Mayfly world very quickly. Mo Qianqian had also changed her appearance, and her entire body was covered by a black robe. The three of them all had the aura of a saint emperor, and they followed behind young Master Li, becoming his helpers. Several major clans had invited external help. Young Master Li had a wide circle of friends, so no one paid much attention to him. Even the elders of young Master Li's clan only asked a few questions before young Master Li dealt with them. Young Master Li brought them to a military camp. This military camp was located to the south of the Treasure Land. In the other directions of the Treasure Land were the military camps of the other major clans. The Treasure Land was a mountain which was surrounded by many clans. The mountain was sealed off by powerful warriors of different clans as well. Before an agreement was reached, all clans would be on guard against each other and would not allow powerful warriors of other clans to go in. Hearing young Master Li's explanation, Yu Yang turned to Mo Qianqian. How was Lu Li going to get in if the Treasure Land was sealed off? It was not practical to force their way in. There were dozens of Saint Emperor Realm warriors here. Even though none of them were close to the Consummate Realm, there were many more powerful than them. More importantly, they were doing this on their own. The God of Death had a good relationship with the nearby clans. The God of Death forbade them from taking advantage of their power to bully others. If this was known, they would be punished severely. Mo Qianqian looked to young Master Li, begging him. Her expression softened young Master Li's heart. Mo Qianqian said, "Young Master Li, can you think of a way to send us in? We will come out after we have a look. We will not make any noise." Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian had prepared for this. After Lu Li collected the divine liquid in the pond, they would put another kind of divine liquid into the pond. The two seemed to be similar, but the effects were worlds apart. "Qianqian," young Master Li said with a dignified face, "this seal was created by the joint efforts of the experts from the other clans. According to the agreement, no experts from the other clans are allowed to enter before the agreement is reached. Otherwise, they'll be attacked by the other clans. If this is revealed, our race will be in big trouble." "What kind of trouble?" Mo Qianqian said carelessly. "Isn't the Li Wolf race the most powerful one around here? The other races have to work together to fight against you. What's more, we are just going to take a look. We will not do anything rash. If something goes wrong, I will come out and help you. What do you think?" With that said, Mo Qianqian looked at Lu Li and suddenly said, "Young Master Lu, I have to take some risks this time. So, I want to double the reward. What do you think?" Lu Li thought for a while and replied, "Okay." Young Master Li made up his mind and said, "Okay, I'm not afraid of death for you, Qian. If something goes wrong, I will apologize with my life. Wait here. I will make the arrangements now. A patriarch of our race secretly built a teleportation formation. You can go in, but you must come out within 2 hours. Mo Qian smiled and said, touched, Li Yin, I know you are the best. From young Master Li to Li Yin, young Master Li left in a hurry, as if he had been injected with adrenaline. Lu Li and Yu Yang looked at each other speechlessly. Young Master Li was troubled by love. It was normal for him to do something stupid for the woman he loved. But Mo Qian had crossed the line. Not only did she make use of young Master Li, but she also cheated his feelings. The woman in the God of Death was really unreliable. She would do anything to achieve her goal. Hey, what's with your expressions? Mo Qian glanced at Lu Li and Yu Yang and said angrily, if it was not for you, would I use my beauty? Would I pretend to be courteous? If you keep this up, I will have to leave. Yu Yang smiled and said, okay, you have been wronged. I will give you half of the profits this time. Is that okay? Deal. Brother Yu Yang is so righteous. Before Lu Li could say anything, Mo Qian agreed readily. Lu Li touched his nose in embarrassment. Mo Qian had asked him for 10%. Yu Yang gave her 5%, which was 25%. This time, she only accompanied young Master Li for a few days and put on a show for a few days, and she could get 10 or 20 billion. This was a good deal. As for Mo Qian's promise that she would shoulder the responsibility with young Master Li in case something went wrong, Lu Li thought it was a joke. As long as Mo Qian's identity was revealed, the other races wouldn't dare to touch her even if they had 100 guts. Not to mention getting some divine liquid, they wouldn't dare to kill her even if they robbed her of all the divine liquid. This woman was good. She was good at playing games. Third Master. Chapter 3182. Lu Li, Yu Yang, and Mo Qian stayed in the barracks for 3 days. During these 3 days, Li Yin never showed up. He must have gone to make arrangements. Yu Yang was a bit worried, but Mo Qian and Lu Li were not. Lu Li was not worried because it didn't matter even if he couldn't make it happen. He didn't have to do anything anyway. Mo Qian was not worried because she believed in her charm and Li Yan's obsession with her. She was a very smart girl. Her IQ and EQ were both top-notch. She had received strict training from the Grim Reaper since she was a child. She was different from other girls. She didn't believe in the so-called love. She had seen too many ugly young masters. Therefore, she regarded all the men who pursued her as prey and playthings. As far as she was concerned, all the young masters pursued her with ulterior motives. Some of them were for her beauty, some of them were for the forces behind her, and some of them were interested in her combat abilities. If that was the case, what was wrong with her toying with them? Everyone was playing a game of conquering and being conquered. It all depended on who was more resourceful. Mo Qian liked this kind of game. She liked the feeling of being surrounded by countless men, like the stars surrounding the moon. However, after playing this game for so many years, she was stumped by the 2 men in front of her. The 2 men didn't take the bait at all. Yu Yang's mother hooked up with a powerful warrior behind his father's back. In the end, her father killed her. Therefore, Yu Yang didn't like women who were fickle. Mo Qian could understand why he didn't take the bait. But Mo Qian couldn't understand Lu Li. The first time she met Lu Li, she could clearly see the lust in his eyes. She was so familiar with this look, and she had seen it many times. She thought Lu Li had taken the bait as well. He was a young and mysterious Grim Reaper. It would be interesting to conquer this kind of man. Who knew? However, after a while, when she met Lu Li again, he had become very cold. Mo Qian could see that Lu Li was on guard against her. Maybe he had heard some rumors, which was normal. But later on, Lu Li didn't have any lust in his eyes, which was hard for her to understand. A fair and graceful girl was a gentleman's dream. Unless there is a man who likes men, otherwise, he will have a desire for beautiful women. Even many old men look at him with lustful eyes. If Lu Li had been very cold before, Mo Qian wouldn't have found it strange. Now that he had suddenly become like this, Mo Qian couldn't help but feel a little depressed. How could an Emperor rancor defeat Luan Shi? How did he become a trump card Grim Reaper? Lu Li was full of mysteries, including this mission. Mo Qianqian did not know much about it either. She only heard that Lu Li could get at least 10 billion celestial stones. After all, Mo Qianqian was a woman. The resources allocated to her family were not too much. Although there were many suitors, she could not ask for money. She still had a good grasp of this. Rustle, rustle, rustle. While she was deep in thought, the sound of footsteps came from outside. Lian walked in and looked at Mo Qianqian with bright eyes. Qianqian, everything is arranged. We can set off immediately. Are you ready? No problem. Lu Li and the others didn't need to prepare. Lian nodded and led them outside. He did have a high status in the family. Nothing was stopped along the way. None of the warriors dared to ask him questions. They entered a temporarily built castle, which was guarded by dozens of warriors. Not even a fly could get in. There were divine patterns in the castle. If it weren't for Li Yin, it would have been impossible to sneak in. After entering the castle, there was an altar inside. Li Yin instructed, "You must not touch the crystal mountain and the herb fields inside. Every stalk of divine medicine is protected by the divine imprints. If even one stalk of divine medicine is missing, it will be discovered. There are divine patterns in the liquid as well. There are many mayfly beasts in there. Be careful." "Okay, don't worry." Mo Qianqian waved her hand with a smile. She led Lu Li and Yu Yang into the teleportation formation. With a glare, the three of them vanished from the castle. Alas, Li Yin didn't leave. He stayed here, worried about his personal gains and losses. If Mo Qianqian and the others were to mess around in there and were discovered by other races, then a chaotic battle would be unavoidable. By then, their races would suffer a great loss. But this was not a big deal. He was just wondering if he had a higher position in Mo Qianqian's heart after he had done so much for her. Buzzing, Lu Li and the others felt a glare, and then they were in a swamp. They could tell at a glance that this must be a strange, small world that had been refined. That is the Crystal Mountain, right? Mo Qianqian reached out her fair hand and pointed to a mountain in the distance that was giving off a faint glow. Yu Yang had already gotten the information. He glanced over and said, "Yes, there it is. The farm should be more than 300,000 miles to the south of the Crystal Mountain, and the deity's pond should be more than 300,000 miles to the north. Let's go." Mo Qianqian flew up, but as soon as she did, her expressions changed. A green soft sword appeared in her hand, and she hacked at the front. Yu Yang also took out his weapon at once, because many small beasts were rushing out from the nearby swamp. These small beasts were only the size of a head with a pair of wings on their back. Their teeth had a cold glare, and there was a faint black air coming out from their mouths. They all had two blade-like forearms. Their attacks were mainly focused on their forearms. Plankton beasts. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian had already gotten the information about the plankton beasts, and they had a plan to deal with them. Battle armors appeared on both of their bodies, and they unleashed one attack after another. Boom, 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 boom. One by one, the plankton beasts were smashed away. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian's attacks were methodical. They only attacked the wings of the plankton beasts. Once the wings were destroyed, the plankton beasts would be slowed down. Once the plankton beasts transformed and attacked, their lifespan would be very short. As long as their wings were damaged, the plankton beasts could only wait for death. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was as if a hornet's nest had been poked. Countless plankton beasts came at them like a swarm of locusts. Yu Yang flew up to the sky and stood back to back with Mo Qianqian. Each of them took on one side of the plankton beasts. After several rounds of attacks, Mo Qianqian looked over to Lu Li, only to find that he had disappeared. It was as if he had evaporated from the world. Yu Yang had seen Lu Li's art of concealment, but Mo Qianqian did not. At this moment, there was a trace of astonishment on her pretty face. After she smashed away the plankton beasts nearby, she released her psychic power to sense where Lu Li was. After a while, she was even more astonished. She was about to release her power to find Lu Li when Yu Yang said to her, "Don't waste your energy. We have tried before and we can't find him. Brother Lu's art of disguise and invisibility is unparalleled in the world. Impressive, Mo Qianqian exclaimed. Her eyes were glistening. She shouted, Yu Yang, let's work together and break out. There are so many plankton beasts. How long are we going to kill them? Let's go. Yu Yang shouted and released his Dharma form. A huge golden wheel whizzed out and swept forward. All the plankton beasts that were caught by the golden wheel were instantly smashed. Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang also broke out. As for Lu Li and the others, they left him alone. Lu Li's art of concealment was so good that not even the plankton beasts could find him. There was no danger for him here. P.S. The half-month holiday is over. From tomorrow onwards, we will go back to the normal 3 chapters a day. The follow-up outline is done as well. The Undying Realm will finish this year. Third Master. Chapter 3183. Lu Li followed Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian slowly. It was not that he couldn't kill this floating beast, but he didn't want to go through the trouble. There are so many plankton beasts, it was impossible to kill them all, so why would he waste his energy? One had to admit that Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian were very powerful, especially Mo Qianqian. She didn't even use any powerful divine arts. She was a trump card, the Grim Reaper. Her battle power was definitely much higher than Yu Yang's. They flew towards the deity's pond with Lu Li following behind slowly. The terrain was swampy with rivers and ponds everywhere. There were many plankton beasts. This is troublesome. When they were close to the deity's pond, Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang found that there were still countless floating beasts around. They were having a headache. Lu Li was going to go down to the deity's pond, and they had to protect him. Were they going to have to fight all the time? The deity's pool was indeed huge, spanning hundreds of miles. It was filled with a light blue liquid, and there were clearly many divine medicines at the bottom of the deity's pool. Lu Li, where are you? Hurry up! Mo Qianqian shouted as she continued to attack the mayfly beast. Lu Li was standing near the pond. Blood Fairy had gone to check the runes covering the pond. Lu Li showed up. He looked at the pond and said without looking back, I am checking the runes. Hold them off for a while. With that said, Lu Li disappeared again. Mo Qianqian could not find him no matter how hard she tried. Instinctively, Mo Qianqian could tell that Lu Li was still in the same spot. She could not help but release a shock wave to check, only to find nothing there. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian had no choice but to fight on. They even lured the floating beasts away so that they wouldn't disturb Lu Li's scouting. After the time it takes for 2 incense sticks to burn, Blood Fairy said, Master, there are 5 divine inscription arrays here. Breaking them won't be a problem, but it will take 2 to 4 hours. That long? Lu Li quickly communicated with Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian. Yu Yang was in a difficult position. After all, Lian said that they had to go out in 2 hours. If they stayed here for several hours, what if something went wrong? I'm fine, Mo Qianqian said straightforwardly. There's no difference between a few hours and a few hours. If the big clans outside could find us, they would have found us by now. If we can't find it, what's a few more hours? Yang thought for a while. What Yang said made sense. He turned around and said to Lu Li, You focus on breaking the formation. We will lure the floating beasts away and take the divine liquid. Then, we will leave immediately. Sure, Lu Li replied. Then he sat down on the ground. After Blood Fairy cracked the formation, he could leave after she took the divine water. This time, Yu Yang gave him 2 giant spatial divine items. One of the spatial divine items was filled with ordinary divine liquids, which were worth 1,000,000 celestial stones. 2 hours passed quickly. Suddenly, Blood Fairy said, Master, it's not good. There's a very well-hidden god glyph in the last layer. I didn't realize it at first, but when I was deciphering it, I realized that this divine inscription was a warning divine inscription. The expert who set up this divine inscription had already discovered it. Lu Li was surprised. He asked at once, How much longer? 3 incense sticks. Blood Fairy gave a firm answer. Lu Li told Blood Fairy to keep on working. Then, he showed himself and reported to Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang. Found out? Yu Yang was taken aback and so was Mo Chantian. Li Yin and Mo Chantian had made it sound easy. However, if they were found out by the major races, they would be in big trouble. They would not die, but the news would reach the god of death. This was strictly forbidden by the god of death. The god of death had a good relationship with the nearby races. The god of death did not want anything to go wrong. If the god of death was not on good terms with the nearby races, the enemies of the god of death could easily take advantage of them. By then, the god of death would be in big trouble. Yang thought about it and asked, "How much more time do we need?" Lu Li answered. Yu Yang shook his head and said, "We don't have enough time. Let's go. We cannot be found out, or we will be in big trouble. Let's go." Mo Chantian sighed and said, "Now that we have been found out, we must leave at once. The divine water, we don't want it anymore." "No." Lu Li shook his head. He was about to get his hands on the divine water. How could he let go? He thought about it and said, "You two go out first. I have the stealth skill. They cannot see me. When I get the divine water, I will find a way out." Yu Yang and Mo Chantian looked at each other. Both were in a dilemma. If Lu Li were to stay here and be found out, he could be killed. The powerful warriors of the races didn't dare to kill them because they were the descendants of powerful warriors. That didn't mean they didn't dare to kill Lu Li. The god of death was not a familial force. The god of death wouldn't make trouble for the major races just because of Lu Li's death. Every year, countless warriors of the god of death would die. It was normal for the god of death to die during missions. Apart from the descendants of powerful warriors, the god of death could kill all the other god of death as soon as they revealed their identities. This was known to everyone in the Chaotic Star region. Of course, the premise was that the god of death was outside, not in the Tianhua city or in the base points of the god of death. Therefore, if Lu Li were to stay here and be found out, he would probably die. There were so many forces and so many Saint Kings. Even though Lu Li had the tongue-lay beast, it might not be enough to deter the others. Brother Lu, Yang thought about it and said, "There are many other places that have the divine water. We don't have to rush. This place is sealed off. Now that we have been found, the teleportation altar will be discovered as well. By then, it will be hard for us to leave." Mo Chantian nodded and said, "You are good at hiding, but there are many powerful warriors of the major races out there. What if you were discovered?" "It's okay." Lu Li smiled. Those major races didn't have powerful warriors that were close to the consummate realm. Therefore, it was unlikely that they would be discovered. If any Saint King could find him, then the Shao demon wouldn't have been so famous. Not even the Heaven Hound race that was good at tracking could find him. Waving his hand, Lu Li said, "Trust me. Go ahead and leave a mark. I will meet up with you later or contact you at the Tianhua city." It was not Lu Li's style to go back empty-handed after entering a mountain of treasure. He had wasted so much time. If Blood Fairy hadn't cracked the formation, Lu Li might have left. Now that the formation was about to be cracked, and there was such a large pond of divine water, Lu Li would not give it up. "Let's go." Mo Chantian made up her mind and flew away. She was a smart girl. She would not put herself in a passive position for 10 or 20 billion celestial stones. "Brother Lu, take care." Yu Yang made up his mind and broke out of the encirclement as well. Lu Li continued to hide himself. The mayfly beasts nearby turned into phantoms and chased after Yu Yang and Mo Chantian. Soon, they disappeared into the distance. Third Sect Leader. Chapter 3184. The divine patterns in this world were designed by powerful warriors of several races. For example, there were several layers of liquid in the pond. In one layer, there was a divine pattern of warning. The divine pattern was so ingeniously integrated that Blood Fairy did not notice it at first. There were no warriors in this world. The outside world was closed off. Before the negotiation was settled, no warrior could go in. This was an agreement. If one party broke the agreement, the other parties would attack together. As soon as Blood Fairy touched the divine patterns, the outside world was in chaos. There were only mayfly beasts here. Floating beasts could not crack the divine patterns. Therefore, warriors must have gone in. The 3 treasured lands were regarded as meat in the pot by the major races. How could they allow others to take them away? The major races, including Lian's, were in chaos. Lian had done this in secret. Only one patriarch of the race with real power knew about it. Their master was not. Their masters and powerful warriors gathered together and activated the divine patterns. Each race sent out 3 powerful warriors to go in and investigate. Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang had been teleported out. As soon as they were out, Li Yin destroyed the teleportation altar. At the same time, he told Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang to leave the Mayfly universe. As for Lu Li's life or death, Li Yin did not care. At the same time, Li Yin told all the warriors that had seen Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang to leave and erase all traces. Even if Lu Li was captured, Li Yin would not admit it and claim that he did not know Lu Li. Blood Fairy had cracked the divine patterns. Lu Li took out another interspatial artifact to absorb the liquid in the pond. Different from the blood essence of dragons, the liquid was absorbed easily. Then, Lu Li let out the liquid in the other interspatial artifact. The 2 types of liquid looked the same, but the effects were worlds apart. Blood Fairy, can the divine patterns be restored? Lu Li asked. Blood Fairy answered, yes, but it will take time, at least 2 to 4 hours. Never mind. Let's go. Lu Li shouted. Blood Fairy went back into his body. Lu Li snuck into the distance quickly. He was not familiar with the terrain. He wandered around and looked for a good place to hide. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, more than a dozen powerful warriors came toward the pond. This was because only the divine runes of the deity's pool had been touched. The other divine runes remained untouched. The divine inscription has been broken. The divine liquid in the deity's pool is still there. But are there any living beings nearby? Something's wrong. There's the aura of a living being. It feels like a human. Search the surroundings. There are still traces of his aura. This human must not have gone far. Humans? There are no humans nearby. How did this human get in? There are many dead plankton beasts nearby. It doesn't look like a human. There's another cultivator. Their attack patterns are different. Search. They can't have gone far. The group of powerful warriors were all powerful. They walked around the pond and immediately sensed Lu Li's energy. Lu Li showed himself. He didn't know how to restrain his qi and energy, but Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian had cultivated this skill. Not a trace of their qi and energy remained. However, after Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang attacked the floating monsters for so long, they were able to deduce some things. The group of powerful warriors didn't check the divine liquid carefully because they didn't touch it. They didn't know what the effect of the divine liquid was. They only checked the bottom of the divine liquid and didn't pay much attention to it since it wasn't picked up. The group of powerful warriors quickly searched in groups of several. They were monitoring each other in case it was a warrior from the other side that came in. This strange world was not large. The powerful warriors were moving at the top of their speed. They didn't waste time with the mayfly beasts, and soon they went around separately. Soon, they found the hidden teleportation altar. Unfortunately, since the teleportation altar was destroyed, so was this one. There was no way to trace it. When the family patriarch of the Leaf family saw the broken teleportation altar, a glint of anger rose in his eyes. The altar was built by their race, and only a few powerful warriors knew about it. Now that the altar was broken, it meant that it was a powerful warrior from their race that came in. How come he didn't know about this? Inevitably, he was enraged. That little bastard. Soon, the family patriarch figured out that it was his grandson who did this. The other patriarchs didn't have the guts to do this. Even if they were going to do something, they would have informed him in advance. Only Li Yin was bold enough to shock the heavens, young and frivolous, daring to act recklessly. However, there was no evidence left behind. The aftermath was handled well. The Leaf family could not be traced back to the Leaf family. The family patriarch of the Leaf family breathed in relief and went back to the deity's pond with the other powerful warriors. Lu Li's art of concealment was powerful. So many powerful warriors were searching, but none of them could find him or any trace of him. These powerful warriors were conceited as well. They thought that since they had not searched, the powerful warriors that came in must have left through the teleportation altar. Powerful warriors from several races gathered by the deity's pond and made a ruckus. They pointed at each other and suspected each other. All of them blamed their enemy, saying that the teleportation altar was set up by the enemy. In the end, the family patriarch of the Leaf family gave the order to seal up the deity's pond again and to set up some things in secret. Since the deity's pond was not damaged and the divine liquid was still there, it was better to go out and negotiate as soon as possible. Once the matter was settled and the herbs and materials were distributed, there would be nothing else to do. The longer the delay, the more trouble. The family patriarchs were worried that something would go wrong if the stalemate continued. By then, the other races would not get any leftovers. This mountain of treasures would attract the covetous eyes of powerful warriors from other races. It was better to reach an agreement as soon as possible. The group of powerful warriors sealed up the deity's pond and then went to the Crystal Mountain and the farm to check. After making some arrangements, they all left. This time, it was mainly the deity's pond that was in trouble. The divine liquid and the herbs at the bottom of the deity's pond were not lost. If something were to happen to the farm, the powerful warriors would not sit still. After all, the divine liquid in the deity's pond was the least valuable. Wait! At the entrance, the family patriarch of the Leaf family suddenly stopped. He said, "I suggest that each race send a powerful warrior to guard the entrance. Don't let anything go wrong. If not, everyone's efforts will be in vain." The other races agreed with the family patriarch of the Leaf family suggestion. After all, each race would send a powerful warrior. Nobody dared to act rashly. This time, they had finished their investigation. There was no more teleportation altar inside. This was the only entrance. If they guarded this place, nobody could go in or out. Buzzing after the group of powerful warriors left, the entrance was sealed up with divine runes. Only a few powerful warriors were left to guard the entrance. Lu Li, who had been following them all the way here, complained to himself when he sensed that there were powerful warriors guarding the entrance. Originally, he had followed them here and had sneaked out from this entrance. Now that the entrance was sealed and there were 5 powerful warriors here, how could he sneak out without anyone noticing? I will have to wait. Lu Li thought about it. He believed that the races would come to an agreement soon. By then, the powerful warriors would come in and divide the Crystal Mountain and the farm among themselves. He would find a chance to leave. Third Master. Chapter 3185. Kneel. In a temporarily built castle in the military camp, Leaf family's Wang Liyuan coldly said to Li Yin. Li Yin knew that he couldn't hide it from his grandfather, so he obediently knelt down and said in a deep voice, "Grandfather, grandson is guilty." "I'm not your grandfather," Li Yuan said with a sullen face. "This is a military camp. I'm the leader of the Leaf family." Li Yin could only embarrassedly say, "Clan King, Li Yin is guilty. Please punish me." "Oomph." Li Yuan snorted and said, "Do you know what you did wrong?" Li Yin slightly sighed and said, "Li Yin is too impulsive. I shouldn't have concealed this matter from Grandpa. However, Li Yin is doing this for the good of the clan. If he can marry Mo Qianqian, our clan will definitely soar. Besides, nothing happened this time, right?" "Pa!" Li Yuan suddenly swept over with a slap, causing Li Yin to roll on the ground a few times. Half of his face was deformed. The doyens at the side could not take it anymore. One of them said, "Clan head, Li Yin is still young. He can be educated slowly. Fools. Impossibly fools. You'll only harm him and the entire race." Li Yuan, on the other hand, was furious. She glared at the few elders and said, "Li Yin is almost 6,000 years old. Is he still young? Isn't the reason why he's so naive and childish because you guys spoil him? He doesn't know any better, and neither do you. Are you going to play along?" Li Yin could have dodged just now, but he didn't. He knew very well that his grandfather's temper was very bad. If he had dodged just now, it would have been very tragic. He was obviously not convinced. He climbed up and stubbornly looked at Li Yuan and said, How am I childish? Was it wrong to pursue Enchantment? That's the trump card of the Grim Reaper, the daughter of the Mo family, the descendant of a big shot. He, Li Yuan sneered and said, "You also know that she is the ace of death? Do you know how difficult it is to become an ace Grim Reaper? She was just a rich young lady, but she could become the trump card of death. How much hardship had she suffered? How many things had he experienced? How perverted was his mind? Do you know how harsh it is for the Grim Reaper to nurture the next generation? You don't understand at all. Let me put it this way." Li Yuan stood up, paced around a few times, and said, "My clan has many experts, but only your grand uncle and I can truly suppress Mo Qianqian. None of you are a match for her. Moreover, when it comes to scheming, none of us are a match for her. Do you think you can conquer a woman like this? Such a woman's heart was higher than the sky." The evildoer in the Grim Reaper was a powerhouse who was infinitely close to the great perfection. How many years had he pursued her? Let's not talk about him. How many young masters are there in the Grim Reaper who are more outstanding than you? They have been with Mo Qianqian all year round. So does it mean that Mo Qianqian has really fallen for them? Let me be more straightforward. Li Yuan decided to teach Li Yin a lesson. He said, "Do you think that just because you are talented in the clan and are the first young master, Mo Qianqian will like you? According to this old man's intelligence, there are at least 100 young masters like you chasing after Mo Qianqian. Over the years, there have been countless young masters who had quit. I advise you to think carefully. Don't be bewitched by a woman. The women of the Grim Reaper are not good people. Don't be fooled by others." After Li Yuan finished speaking, he waved his hand at an elder and said, "Bring him back and lock him up. When he has thought it through, then let him out." Li Yin was stunned by Li Yuan's words, but his eyes were still flickering. It was obvious that he still had fantasies about Mo Qianqian. He thought that Mo Qianqian was not such a person and that he still had a chance. This time, he had helped her a lot and sacrificed so much for her. Mo Qianqian would definitely be touched, right? Incorrigible. Li Yuan's eyes were filled with disappointment. He had high hopes for this grandson of his. He was good in all aspects. If he continued to grow, he could reach his battle strength in the future. It was a pity that his journey had been too smooth and he had not suffered too much hardship. His mind was not mature enough. This time, he was not angry that Li Yin brought an outsider in, but that he was used by a woman. At this moment, not only did he not realize it, but he was also complacent and fantasizing. Incorrigible. Li Yin was brought back to his clan. Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang, who were waiting nearby, had lost their source of information. They had no idea what had happened to Lu Li. They didn't dare to use the intelligence system of the Grim Reaper either. They had to wait patiently nearby. The clans had finished their discussion and the distribution of the benefits had been decided. Patriarchs of several clans ordered their armies to retreat. Only 5 Saint Kings of each clan were to stay and go back to their own clans after the distribution was done. This was to avoid a war after the distribution. If only a few powerful warriors were left, if one of the clans wanted to make trouble, the other powerful warriors could escape easily. In half a month, all the armies would retreat and enter the treasured land to collect all the materials, crystals, liquid, and elixirs. Then, they would divide the spoils. Soon, half a month had passed. All the armies had retreated, and so had the powerful warriors. Only 5 Saint Kings of each clan were left. In total, there were 25 Saint Kings. There were also 5 Saint Kings guarding the treasured land. Altogether, there were 30 Saint Kings. "Open the entrance." Li Yuan waved her hand. The entrance in the mountain was opened. Dozens of powerful warriors rushed in. There were 5 Saint Kings guarding the entrance. The powerful warriors outside nodded when they saw the 5. The fact that the Saint Kings were here meant that there was nothing wrong with the treasured land. Yes, the group of powerful warriors looked at the crystal mountain from afar. They could see that the crystal mountain was still glowing. The group of powerful warriors flew over at a moderate speed. Li Yuan thought about it and asked the powerful warriors to stay here. She even activated the divine patterns at the entrance. "It seems that the discussion is done?" "Yes, This matter is finally settled. It is not good for anyone to continue. We have been here for a long time. It is time to go back. The Saint Kings guarding the entrance began to discuss. They all had smiles on their faces, even though not long ago they were still fighting to the death. Boom, 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 boom. Not long after, there was a soft explosion from afar. Following that, the ground began to tremble. The Saint King's expressions changed. They tried to sense again. One of them shouted, "It is from the herb farm. Let's go." One of the Saint Kings roared. He flew toward the herb farm as fast as he could. The other Saint Kings did not hesitate and followed suit. There was such a huge explosion at the herb farm. Something big must have happened. The herb farm was the most valuable treasure in the treasured land. If something happened to it, they would have wasted all their time here. This strange world was not big. They flew as fast as they could. The mayfly beast was sent flying. It only took them a few minutes to get there. When they got there and took a look, their faces were filled with disbelief. The medicinal field was a very large area, but at this moment, this area had become unrecognizable. Everything had been destroyed. Not a single divine herb could be seen. Even the vines and trees of the divine herbs had been destroyed. Find him, find him. We must find him. Someone must be hiding inside. From afar, Leanne's angry voice rang out. After we find him, I want to tear him into pieces. Tear him into pieces. Into this chapter. Chapter 3186. The farm was ruined. Of course, it was not Li Yuan. When Li Yuan and the others arrived, they noticed that not a single herb was left in the farm. All the fruits were picked. The farm was empty. Furthermore, after the experts arrived here, a divine rune was activated and a huge explosion occurred in the medicinal field, sending a few Saint Emperors flying. The divine herbs in the medicinal field were obviously plucked by a cultivator, and the explosion was also set up by a powerful cultivator. Li Yuan and the others were infuriated, and all of them frantically flew in all directions, searching for the bastard who stole their divine herbs. The entrance had been under control. Several Saint Emperors were stationed there. The teleportation altar was destroyed as well. There was no way out. Li Yuan and the others believed that the culprit was still in there. Naturally, they wanted to find him. The 5 Saint Emperors followed the trail, and soon, they found Li Yuan. When Li Yuan saw the 5 powerful warriors, she suddenly understood some things that she could not understand. Picking herbs was understandable. Apart from stealing herbs, there was nothing else to do here. What Li Yuan could not figure out was why there was an explosion rune. That rune was not powerful. Apart from destroying the farm, it had no other effect. It could not kill powerful warriors. But when she saw the 5 powerful warriors, Li Yuan understood. This explosion was to attract these 5 experts over and lure them away from mountain. Then, the thief who stole the godly medicine would be able to leave through the entrance. Li Yuan had a general idea of who the thief was. Li Yin brought 3 Grim Reapers in. 2 left, and 1 stayed here. He had thought that the thief would not dare to do anything, or else he would be killed by them. He did not expect that the thief would be so bold. Li Yin confessed everything. Apart from Mo Chanqian, the other 2 Grim Reapers were just as escorts. They were not the young masters of the Grim Reapers. Since they were just regular Grim Reapers, Li Yuan would not show them mercy. She would tear Lu Li apart to vent her anger and take back the herbs. All the herbs here were precious and priceless. The total value of so many herbs was estimated to be several trillion celestial stones. That was a huge fortune. They would not sell the herbs. They were used for cultivation in their races and could cultivate many powerful warriors. But now, they were all stolen by a thief. Chase! He brought the experts with him and rushed towards the exit as fast as he could. The plankton beasts attacked him on the way, but they were all sent flying by him. Very quickly, they arrived at the entrance. When Li Yuan saw that the divine runes at the entrance had been broken, her expression instantly turned ugly. Earlier, when he entered, he had casually activated the divine inscription here. Now that it was broken, it meant that the little thief had already escaped. Send a message to them. Tell them that the thief has escaped. Tell them to come out and arrange for their tribe's armies and experts to seal off the area and hunt them down. Li Yuan took the lead and rushed out. The 5 experts immediately went to contact each other. Soon, the experts inside all came out and rushed out furiously. This place continued to be sealed. Although the herb field had been robbed, the crystal mountain had not been dug out, and the deity's lake seemed fine on the surface. Naturally, it had to be sealed. The nearby star field soon became noisy. Countless warships flew out, and countless military scouts surrounded the area. Many scouts from smaller races were also mobilized. The dozens of races nearby all moved, and the surrounding area of billions of miles was sealed off at the fastest speed possible. What did Luli do? Why is he so angry? Mo Chantian and Yu Yang were hiding in a nearby region. All the races in this region had been sent out to patrol and search. Scouts and warriors had started searching as well. Mo Chantian and Yu Yang were both powerful warriors and elites of the god of death. Naturally, they would not be discovered. They also gathered some information and learned that several major races nearby were furious and were searching for a human. They had mobilized all the armies and scouts nearby. Damn, Yu Yang was having a headache. They were hiding nearby, and the area must be sealed off. Naturally, they could not go back to the Sky Crossing City unless they revealed their identities. But Mo Chantian was a human. If they revealed her identity, the major races would suspect that she was the culprit. By that time, the higher-ups of the god of death would be informed, and they would be punished severely. Let's hide for a while. If I am right, Luli has gotten what he wanted and is making a big scene. Mo Chantian thought about it. Her eyes glowed as she said, "Let's wait. Luli has escaped. If he can get out so easily and avoid so many powerful warriors, then he will come and find us. We can go into his interspatial artifact, and he can take us away." Yu Yang blinked. He seemed to be familiar with Luli. How come it was like Mo Chantian knew Luli better? But Mo Chantian's words made sense. If Luli could get away from so many powerful warriors, then this area would be unguarded for him. He could come and go as he pleased. They had left many obscure marks outside, which could only be read by those in the god of death. If Luli could see them, he would come and find them. Mo Chantian and Yu Yang went into hiding. Although there were scouts and armies searching in this realm, the focus of the 5 great clans was still in the void. Theoretically speaking, after stealing the elixir, Luli should leave at once instead of hiding in a nearby region. Mo Chantian and Yu Yang were good at the god of death. Assassins would know how to protect themselves. They hid in a secluded place. 5 days later, the runes at the entrance of the cave they were hiding in were cracked. Yu Yang was taken aback. Mo Chantian, on the other hand, looked at the empty cave with a smile and said, "Young Master Lu, welcome back." Buzzing with a glare, Lu Li came out. Yu Yang was overjoyed. He walked over, punched Lu Li's chest, and said, "Good job. You didn't let me down." Lu Li grinned and nodded. "It's done. I will take you away. There are so many pursuers out there. All the Saint Kings are on the move, and there are battleships everywhere. The void has been sealed off. What did you do to anger the heavens and the people?" Yu Yang curled his lips and said, "You didn't destroy the medicinal field's crystal mountain, did you?" Mo Chantian stared at Lu Li with sparkling eyes. Lu Li smiled and said, "I didn't touch the crystal mountain, but I did destroy the farm. Could it be? I have collected all the elixirs and the liquid from the deity's pond." "Ha ha, you punk." Yu Yang's mouth was wide open. He exclaimed, "I really admire you. The farm is priceless. No wonder the 5 major races are going crazy over it." "Impressive, impressive." Mo Chantian's eyes were filled with admiration. She exclaimed, "He deserves his reputation. The Ace Grim Reaper title is not given randomly. There are not many people that I, Mo Chantian, admire. Luli, you are one." Third Master. Chapter 3187. Luli had to admit that Mo Chantian was good at flattering people. She was an enchanting beauty. More importantly, she was not just a pretty face. She was a powerful warrior whose realm and abilities were not weaker than Lu Li's. Anyone would feel elated to have someone look at you with such admiration. Lu Li kept a straight face. Without further ado, he took out his interspatial artifact and said, "Do you trust me? If you do, go into my interspatial artifact, and I will take you back to the Tianyue city." Of course, Mo Qianqian answered before Yu Yang could say anything. Yu Yang nodded and said, "Lu Li, we are counting on you." Lu Li looked at Mo Qianqian in surprise as well. In his interspatial ring, Mo Qianqian's life and death would be in his hands. He and Yu Yang had gone through thick and thin together, and Lu Li had saved Yu Yang's life. It was understandable that Yu Yang trusted Lu Li. But why did Mo Qianqian trust him so much? Extraordinary people do extraordinary things. There's a reason why Mo Qianqian can charm so many young masters. Lu Li exclaimed to himself. On second thought, he understood why Mo Qianqian was so confident. She must have treasures on her. If she were to die in his interspatial artifact, the Mo family would know. By then, Lu Li wouldn't be able to run away even if he ran to the end of the world. Lu Li snuck away as soon as he put them into his interspatial artifact. There were many battleships and warriors out there, forming a dragnet and intercepting him. But for Lu Li, it was useless. Not even Saint Emperors could see him, not to mention regular warriors and scouts. With more battleships and warriors, Lu Li could not speed up, or else he would be exposed. He was not in a hurry. He flew toward the Tianyue region at a leisurely pace. Li Yuan was enraged. All the Saint Emperors were sent out to search. Li Yuan also sent a message back to ask about Li Yin and Lu Li. But Li Yin didn't know where Mo Qianqian was. After he left the Mayfly realm, he was escorted back before he could get in touch. He had no idea where Mo Qianqian was. They searched for half a month without finding any outsider. They were all from nearby races, and they were all familiar with each other. Search the nearby regions. Li Yuan sent a message. Since they could not find any trace of Lu Li and the other two after half a month, they must be hiding in a nearby universe. They should search the nearby universes first. If they search the nearby realms, there would naturally be fewer experts intercepting them. Otherwise, how could they find the elites of the Death God just by relying on scouts and ordinary soldiers? Lu Li had arrived at the periphery. After the powerful warriors left, he sped up. With the marks of the Great Tao, he was able to sense even the slightest movement in his surroundings, and coupled with the divine concealment technique, it was simply like adding wings to a tiger. Even if his escape technique wasn't unparalleled in the world, it was at least much stronger than many Grim Reapers. 2 days later, Lu Li left the nearby region. He stopped being invisible and flew into the distance at the top of his speed. Lu Li would run into some passing battleships on the way, but he would avoid them in time. After flying for another 3 days, Lu Li let Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang out. Yu Yang looked at the map, then took out his battleship and flew into the distance. Mo Qianqian's face was filled with excitement as she excitedly decorated the large cabin, saying that she wanted to celebrate. Looking at Mo Qianqian bustling around like a housewife, Lu Li exclaimed to himself again. She could go to the living room and cook in the kitchen. She looked like a noble lady outside, but she could be perfect in bed as well. If it weren't for Yu Yang's reminder, the return of his main soul, and what he had seen and heard recently, he would have fallen in love with this vixen. After flying for half a day, they were close to the heaven-crossing universe. Yu Yang, Mo Qianqian, and Lu Li were all relaxed. The three of them sat in the cabin to celebrate. Having a delicate beauty to drink with, who was also very good at talking, was undoubtedly something that could make people very happy. From a beginning to the end, Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian didn't mention anything about the farm. It was agreed that Lu Li would give them 20% each. They were supposed to get the divine liquid, but they didn't expect that Lu Li would get all the elixirs in the farm. Therefore, it was hard to say. Lu Li could share with them, but he didn't say that he wouldn't. Of course, if they asked for it directly, Lu Li would give it to them, but that would make him uncomfortable. Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian didn't mention it, which made Lu Li feel better. After they were full, Lu Li said, I haven't refined the divine liquid yet, so I can't give it to you. But I can give you some of the elixirs in the farm. According to our agreement, I will give you 20% each. You can divide the elixirs among yourselves according to your agreement. Yu Yang was stunned. He didn't know if he was really stunned or if he was acting. Mo Chanqian's eyes turned into crescent moons. She tilted her head and said, "Young Master Lu, you are so forthright. I like heroes like you." This sentence was a bit ambiguous. Yu Yang glanced at Lu Li with a smile. Lu Li just smiled lightly, not taking it seriously. Lu Li took out his interspatial artifact and went in. After waiting for half a day, he came out, took out an interspatial ring each, and handed it to Yu Yang and Mo Chanqian. He said, "We need more than 5,000 elixirs. I don't know what they are. Anyway, we will divide them according to the year. You can each get 1,000 elixirs." Yu Yang and Mo Chanqian used their psychic power to check. After a while, they looked at each other in surprise. Yu Yang paused for a while and said, "Lu Li, you don't know the value of these elixirs. The elixirs you gave me are worth at least 100 billion celestial stones. If they're auctioned, they could be sold for 200 billion. Yu Yang is right." Mo Chanqian's eyes turned into crescent moons again. She said with a blush, "I think they are worth at least 150 billion. This has been a wonderful trip." Then, "Young Master Lu, we will not divide the divine liquid. All of it is yours. The reward is more than enough." Yu Yang nodded. They thought they would be happy if they could get 10 or 20 billion. Unexpectedly, they got more than 100 billion celestial stones. They had made a fortune. Yu Yang and Mo Chanqian didn't do anything. Lu Li was the only one taking the risk. Sure, Lu Li didn't feel the pain of giving away 200 or 300 billion celestial stones. If it weren't for Yu Yang and Mo Chanqian, he wouldn't have been able to get so many elixirs so easily. He shrugged and said, "How about this? Why make the divine liquid? I will give each of you dozens of drops. You can use it for yourselves. Young Master Lu, you are such a good person. I am so happy to be your partner." Mo Chanqian exclaimed again. This time, it was not flattery, but from the bottom of her heart. She turned to Yu Yang and said, "Yu Yang, when you go on missions like this and need my help, you can come to me. I will do my best to cooperate. Also, forget about the 5% I took from you. I'm very happy with what I got this time." Yu Yang and Lu Li looked at each other and exclaimed to themselves. Mo Chanqian really had a high EQ. She knew how to play the long game. With Lu Li and Yu Yang, she could make more in the future. Chapter 3188. The three of them returned to the Heaven Crossing region smoothly. They went their separate ways near Lu Li's manor. Before Lu Li could sit down, Emperor Yin showed up uninvited. Lu Li asked a maid to serve tea. Emperor Yin waved his hand and said, "No. Your tea is of low quality. There is nothing good." Lu Li sensed something was wrong with Emperor Yan's tone. He said with respect, "Emperor Yin, what can I do for you? If I can do it, I will." "You punk." Emperor Yin glared at Lu Li and said, "Your actions have angered the higher-ups. Considering that you have just joined the God of Death, I will help you this time. Look at Yu Yang and Mo Chanqian. They will not have a good time when they go back." Lu Li didn't expect that his actions would be so secretive. How could they be found out so soon? He asked, "Which races are related to the God of Death?" Mo Chanqian and Li Yin didn't tell me. "The races and forces around the God of Death cannot act recklessly." Emperor Yin glanced at Lu Li and said, "The races within a radius of hundreds of millions of miles cannot act recklessly. This is an unspoken rule. It is my fault for not telling you before. That bastard Yu Yang is getting bolder. Just you wait and see. I will make him suffer." "I see." Lu Li grinned. He really didn't know about this. Yu Yang and Mo Chanqian didn't tell him either. It was not his fault. Emperor Yin waved his hand, walked out, and said, "Later, if you want to sell the elixirs, don't sell them to the outside. Sell them to the organization. Remember?" "Okay." Lu Li nodded and said, "Of course, of course." Lu Li was relieved that Emperor Yin was gone. Emperor Yin was here to teach him a lesson. Now that Emperor Yin was here, the matter must be over. Lu Li called Guanyang over and asked him to buy a catalog of elixirs. Lu Li needed to identify all the elixirs. He would keep the useful ones and trade the useless ones for other resources that were useful to him. As he had expected, Mo Qianqian and Yu Yang disappeared after they came back. Yu Yang finally came back after more than 10 days. He said to Lu Li bitterly, "I was found out. The old man beat me up in person. I have underestimated the intelligence system of the god of death. It is everywhere. Are you all right?" Lu Li asked. Since Yu Yang could come out, then he must be fine. Yu Yang pouted and said, "I'm fine. But half of the elixir you gave me was confiscated. That old guy is so cruel. Mo Qianqian is still the best. I only reprimanded her for a bit, and she was fine after acting coquettishly." Lu Li said with a smile, "Behave yourself for the time being. I'm going to cultivate for a while. You go find a place. This time, go a little farther. We'll set off in a year's time." "Sure." Yu Yang left after chatting for a while. Lu Li had already absorbed all the liquid into the magic realm. He had been organizing the godly medicines for the past 10 or so days. There were more than 1,000 godly medicines that could be used, and the rest were prepared to be disposed of. However, he wasn't lacking in divine herbs for cultivation and didn't have any celestial stones for the time being. Hence, he wasn't in a hurry to get rid of the divine herbs. Once again, he returned to the fantasy realm to cultivate. At the same time, he was also waiting for the divine liquid to be condensed. Lu Li consumed the godly medicines quickly in the fantasy realm to strengthen his body and soul. He wanted to complete several tasks after he got out of the fantasy realm. In this way, he could cultivate in peace for a while. In the fantasy realm, one's soul grew rapidly. However, it was easy to lose one's mind here. One couldn't tell the difference between illusion and reality. If one wasn't mentally strong, one could easily become a psychopath. Time flew by while Lu Li was cultivating. A year had passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Li consumed many godly medicines, including some super ones he got from the Mayfly realm. Those godly medicines were tens of thousands of years old and had strong effects. Both Lu Li's body and soul were enhanced. It was a pity that his body and soul were too strong. Even though he had consumed so many godly medicines, the overall improvement was not obvious. After he came out, he asked Guanyang about what had happened in the Tianyue city. As expected, most of the news was about Mo Qianqian. Lian came to find him. He was still fantasizing about her. However, Mo Qianqian only entertained him and invited him several times. Lian even had a conflict with a young master of the god of death and was almost disabled. In the end, it was Mo Qianqian who solved the problem. "What a femme fatale!" Lu Li exclaimed. Mo Qianqian was a femme fatale that many young masters yearned for day and night. She must be a femme fatale for many more years and many more young men. During the year when Lu Li was in closed-door cultivation, Mo Qianqian came to find him once, but Yu Yang didn't. He knew Lu Li was in closed-door cultivation, so he wouldn't come. Lu Li didn't go out either. He thought Yu Yang would be here soon. He sat for a while and looked inside the Dharma realm. The divine elixir inside had already been condensed. There were more than 3,000 drops of purple divine elixir in such a large pool of divine elixir, which was more than he had imagined. The purple divine liquid was much more expensive than the poisonous liquid because it could enhance a warrior's soul or body in an instant. It was a life-saving item, and it could be used to kill enemies. After a warrior reached the Saint King realm, average pellets were not very effective. Unless there were powerful skills or secret skills, average pellets couldn't increase a Saint King's abilities by 10 times in a short time. Lu Li estimated that the purple divine liquid could be sold for tens of millions of celestial stones per drop. The thousands of drops would be worth more than 100 billion. Of course, Lu Li wouldn't sell it for now. He would keep it for himself. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Not long afterward, a man walked in. Lu Li knew it was Yu Yang without having to listen to the footsteps. Yu Yang had a jade jar in his hand. He handed it to Lu Li and said, "This is for you. Nice tea." Lu Li waved his hand to let Guan Yang put it away. He also took out 100 drops of purple divine liquid, put them in a jade jar, threw them to Yu Yang, and said, "The divine liquid is made. One drop should be able to increase your abilities by 10 times in an instant, but it can only last for 1 or 2 breaths." 10 times? Yu Yang's pupils contracted. He asked, "Are you sure? Try it and you will know," Lu Li said casually. Yu Yang took out 1 drop and melted it into his origin energy. As he mobilized his origin energy, his eyes glowed. Even though he didn't release any attacks, he could feel that the power of his origin energy had been increased by more than 10 times. Therefore, his attacks would be 10 times more powerful as well. This is good. Yu Yang clicked his tongue in wonder. This thing was good and could be of great use at critical moments. Just as Yu Yang was about to say something, a whiff of fragrance came from outside. Before the person came in, a bell-like laughter came. "What is it? Do I have a share?" A lady in bright yellow walked over gracefully. She looked like a fairy walking out of a painting. Both Lu Li and Yu Yang were surprised. Then Lu Li forced a smile and said, "Lady Qianqian, you don't have to be so ostentatious when you are here." Ostentatious? Qianqian frowned. She stared at Lu Li and said, "I won't even go to others when they are begging me. How can you turn your back on me? Do I make you turn your back on me?" Lu Li forced a smile and said, "I am not turning my back on you. I just don't want to be troubled by your pursuers every day. You all have powerful backings. I can't fight against so many people with my fists alone." Being firm without desire. Since Lu Li had no interest in Qianqian, he didn't have to show her too much respect. He didn't want to get into too much trouble. Therefore, he had to tell Qianqian in a euphemistic way not to have any illusions about him. He would not be a subject under her skirt. Chapter 3189. Qianqian had so many admirers, and this was the headquarters of the Grim Reaper. Qianqian's whereabouts were probably all known by those admirers. Previously, Qianqian, Son of Feather, and Lu Li couldn't hide the fact that they were together. Now that Lu Li had just come out from his closed-door cultivation, Qianqian was here. It was inevitable that there would be some misunderstanding, which would lead to hatred and a lot of troubles. Qianqian pretended that she didn't hear the hidden meaning in Lu Li's words. She said with a smile, "How can we live without troubles? You are the trump card of the Grim Reaper. Who dares to provoke you? Besides, those who don't attract jealousy are mediocre. Do you want to be mediocre or a genius?" "I don't want to do anything." Lu Li shook his head. He took out a bottle of purple divine liquid and said, "I have been through too much over the years. I just want to live a peaceful life. Fighting every day is too tiring. Miss Qianqian, can you give me a few years of peace?" There was a trace of tiredness and vicissitudes in Lu Li's words. He was not faking it. He was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Yu Yang and Qianqian looked at each other. They could tell that Lu Li must have had a hard time in the early years. They were all from rich and powerful families, so they could tell that Lu Li was from a poor family. A martial artist from a poor family was able to reach his current level at such a young age. Although his body wasn't full of treasures, his strange magical powers made them exclaim in surprise. This kind of genius was rarely seen in a million years. Humph! Qianqian clearly felt the unapproachable qi and energy from Lu Li. She snorted, grabbed the jade vase, and left. Yu Yang watched as Qianqian left. He said with a grin, "Lu Li, you have hurt our little princess's heart. Be careful. She will make things difficult for you." "I have no choice." Lu Li sighed and said, "She comes to my place for no reason. Those young masters will be angry. Also, if that evildoer comes out from closed-door cultivation, he will come after me. Once things get out of hand, which side do you think the 9 leaders of the God of Death will stand on?" "That's true." Yu Yang nodded slightly. He took out a document and handed it to Lu Li. "This is the information I got. This place was quite far from the Tianhua boundary, and there was only one big clan there, so there was no pressure at all. There's a divine pool in this world, and it's filled with the divine liquid. That clan might have 8 or 9 Saint Kings, but it shouldn't be a problem for me to draw away a portion of them while you secretly take the divine liquid away. Rotten Nightmare World. Luli glanced over the information and nodded. This is a good place. 8 or 9 Saint Emperors won't be too pressured, but I want to pick up 2 quests. Let me see if there are any nearby quests. After completing these 2 missions, you can live comfortably for a few years. Sure. Yu Yang nodded and said, when you go on a mission, you can take me with you. Then, depending on the difficulty of the mission, we will find some martial artists. After completing the mission, we will secretly do private work. Sunfeather also had to carry out a quest. The Gold Reaper had a quest requirement, so it would be easier for him to follow Luli. At the very least, Luli had a Tribulation Thunderbeast. The 2 of them went to a large hall, found a Grand Elder, and looked through the missions they could accept. After an hour, Luli's eyes glowed. He pointed to a quest and said to Sunfeather, this one is suitable for us. Ancient Moon World? Sunfeather nodded with satisfaction after a glance and said, this is fine, but we need to find 3 more helpers. It's a bit troublesome with just the 2 of us. Also, the rules state that we can only have 5 warriors at most. Okay, go and find them. Luli read it several more times. This was indeed the quest. After this, they could go to the Rotten Nightmare World. It wasn't too far away, and it was on the way. This was a 7-star quest. Only Ace Reapers could accept it. Several Ace Reapers could take it together, or 1 Ace Reaper could bring several Gold Reapers with him. Either way, there had to be at least 1 Ace Reaper. Of course, the reward was limited. The more people there were, the less the reward would be. Luli didn't care too much about this. He just wanted to complete the quest set by the Reaper. The quest was to wipe out a legion of roving bandits. This legion had been robbing several nearby universes, making the nearby races miserable. That was why they banded together and asked the Reaper to help. There were not many people in this legion. There were only 14 Saint Kings and more than 100 Great Emperors. The most powerful of the Saint Kings might be as powerful as Lady Yuan, and the weakest was a bit more powerful than average Saint Kings. The description of the quest was to wipe out all the powerful warriors in the Legion. None of the Saint Kings could escape, and the Great Emperors didn't matter. Luli felt some pressure when there were more than a dozen Saint Kings. Therefore, he had to ask some Saint Kings for help. Luli and Sunfeather alone could fail the quest, and they might be killed by the enemies. The more than 100 Great Emperors could be ignored. The key was that none of the Saint Kings could escape. Otherwise, the quest would be a failure. Therefore, they would need help. Sunfeather was familiar with this. Luli didn't have to worry too much. He went back to the manor and waited for Sunfeather's news. Sunfeather didn't keep Luli waiting for long. He came after a day and a half. He handed Luli a list with a bitter smile. Luli glanced over and felt uncomfortable. He asked, why is Mo Chantian in there? I don't have a choice, Sunfeather sighed and said. I didn't ask her to do this. She chose this quest as well. She came to me with the scroll. Unless we change to another quest, there is nothing we can do. Also, her abilities are good. She is much stronger than me. With her, the success rate of this mission will be higher. Luli looked at the other 2 warriors. They were both golden gray Grim Reapers at the middle stage of the Saint King realm. Both of them were good. Luli felt troubled and said, that's it. Where do we go? After we finish the quest, we will go and do some private work. Don't bring her along. Of course. Sunfeather nodded. He thought about it and said, let's not waste any more time. Let's go the day after tomorrow. What do you think? Sure. Luli had no objection. He could cultivate on the way anyway. He asked Sunfeather to make the arrangements. After 2 days of closed-door cultivation, Luli left the manor and went to a castle as agreed. Sunfeather and the other 2 golden gray Grim Reapers were already there. One of them seemed to be a middle-aged warrior, and the other was younger. The 2 golden gray Grim Reapers were trying to please Mo Chantian. Mo Chantian snorted when she saw Luli. She ignored him as if she was mad at him. The 2 warriors bowed to Luli. But since Mo Chantian wasn't being nice to Luli, they didn't hold back. They just bowed out of courtesy. They were on a quest, so they could take the teleportation altar of Grim Reapers. They could teleport to a nearby universe first, and then take a battleship. They could save half a year's time. Let's go. Sun Feather waved his hand. The 5 warriors went into the altar. With a flash of white light, the 5 disappeared from the Tianhua city. Third Master. Chapter 3190. The Flower Zither region. This was a relatively large region here. It was not occupied by a super race, but by a powerful old demon. This old demon was very close to the completion of the realm and had a powerful skill. She was famous. She had 3 powerful warriors who were very close to the completion of the realm and dozens of saint emperors. This old demon didn't have a force, and she just used her title to command a region. Exalted Fairy Huaqin. She was a woman, one of the most powerful female warriors in the Chaotic Star region. This female expert was also a person with a story. Back then, her battle prowess was not strong, but because her husband and child were killed by her enemies, she endured the humiliation for 10,000 years and suddenly rose up. She single-handedly destroyed a large clan and occupied the current Zither flower domain. In a castle in the Flower Zither city, a teleportation altar lit up. The Flower Zither region was open to the public, and it was the commercial center for a radius of hundreds of millions of miles. Any race, powerful warriors, or old demons could come here as long as they didn't resort to violence. Exalted Fairy Huaqin didn't care about anything else. Lu Li and the other 4 arrived. Mo Qianqian became excited as soon as she arrived. She turned to Yu Yang and said, "Rest here for a day? Move out tomorrow? I haven't been to the Flower Zither region for a long time. I want to have a look." Every girl liked to go shopping. Of course, they care more about shopping. Yu Yang didn't want to spoil Mo Qianqian's mood. He looked at Lu Li and said, "Okay, but don't make trouble. Exalted Fairy Huaqin doesn't give face to anyone." "I know. I'm not a kid anymore." Mo Qianqian humphed. She didn't look at Lu Li and walked out. The 2 death gods followed her. As far as they were concerned, this mission was to suck up to Mo Qianqian. If Mo Qianqian didn't take care of them, they could die easily. What was more, Mo Qianqian had a high status among the death gods. Naturally, they had to please her. "Let's go and have a drink." Yu Yang patted Lu Li's shoulder. They left the castle and wandered around. There were many warriors in the Flower Zither region. Lu Li could tell that there were more than 100,000. There were many saint emperors and all kinds of races. Lu Li and the others had already concealed their qi and energy. Yu Yang had disguised himself as an Emperor Realm warrior, but Lu Li didn't need to. He was an Emperor Realm warrior himself. Lu Li had changed his appearance to that of a regular race, and Feather Sun was disguised as well. Since the Grim Reaper was out on a mission, he would not go to his doorstep openly. Assassination was the way to go. They casually strolled around the city and finally went to a restaurant. This restaurant was of a much higher class than the Skirich city, and a cup of tea would cost tens of thousands of celestial stones. The 2 of them sat there for a long time. Another Death God secret guard came over and delivered a report about the latest situation of the mission. That group of roving bandits was currently hiding in a strange realm. Not long ago, they had robbed a large tribe of resources and slaughtered thousands of soldiers and miners. "Let's set off tomorrow and exterminate this bandit group as soon as possible." Lu Li browsed through the information. The longer he delayed, the more trouble he would be in. The wandering bandits liked to wander around. If he let them escape, it would be troublesome. Soon, more than half a day had passed. Mo Qianqian had not come back yet. Lu Li was getting impatient. They were here for a mission, not for sightseeing. Mo Qianqian had crossed the line. Whoosh! After a moment, a man rushed over and arrived in front of Yu Yang and Lu Li. He looked at Yu Yang and stammered, "Young master, you go and save them. Lady Qian Qian and Yuan Feng have been arrested by the law enforcement team in the city. Caught?" Lu Li and Yu Yang looked at each other, speechless. How could something happen when they just went out for a stroll? Lu Li was not worried about the law enforcement team. He asked, "Tell me the details." That warrior explained, Lady Chantian was shopping with us. A young master was flirting with her. Yuan Feng was so angry that he cursed at him. That young master's men took action and Yuan Feng was injured. Yuan Feng and Lady Chantian fought back. Then the law enforcement team came. Both sides were arrested. Are you sure it was done later? Lu Li asked with a frown. If it was done later, then everything would be fine. But if it was done first, then nothing would be clear. Also, that young master was so arrogant. He might have some backing in the city. Yes, it was them who started it. The warrior stuttered. After Lu Li glared at him, he said, it was Yuan Feng who pushed him first. It was also because that young master wanted to grab Lady Chantian's hand. I swear, Yuan Feng didn't do anything. He just pushed. Yu Yang and Lu Li looked at each other. They were speechless. It could be said that the push was done, but it could also be said that it wasn't done. If that young master had some witnesses, and they were young masters from the Flower Zither Circle, then it would be troublesome. Mo Chantian was of noble status. If she revealed her identity or the Grim Reaper was here, the young master wouldn't dare to do anything rash. But Yuan Feng would be in trouble, and the mission would fail. Lu Li asked, what is the background of that young master? Is he a young master of the city? I think so, the warrior nodded and said. As soon as the fight started, many warriors came to watch. They are all on the young master's side. I think he is famous in the Flower Zither city. His name is Young Master Chiao. Let's go and have a look first. Yu Yang sighed. He crushed a jade talisman in his hand. Not long after they left, a man came over. Yu Yang said something and went to the mansion of the mayor with Lu Li and the others. The mansion of the mayor was bustling with noise and excitement. Many people came to watch. The law enforcement team in the city was not strong. There were only 3 Saint Emperors leading the team, and they were not particularly powerful. But the law enforcement team represented the power of the government. Anyone who dared to mess with the law enforcement team would anger the Flower Zither celestial being. Mo Chantian and Lu Li had disguised themselves as great Emperor Realm warriors. Naturally, they didn't dare to fight the law enforcement team. They went to the mansion of the mayor. There was a Saint Emperor in the mansion of the mayor who was conducting an open trial. When Lu Li and Yu Yang arrived, Mo Chantian and Yuan Feng didn't suffer any unfair treatment. They just stood on the side. There was blood on Yuan Feng's mouth. One of his hands was broken. His eyes were filled with anger. Stop! Yu Yang and Lu Li wanted to go into the mansion of the mayor, but they were stopped. Yu Yang calmly looked at the guard and said, we are with the 2 inside. This is my identity token. The escort took over the ID token, and his expressions changed. Then he went to find a team leader. The team leader was a Saint Emperor. He looked at Yu Yang's ID token, waved his hand, and said, let them in, but tell them not to do anything. This is the Flower Zither city, not the Heavens Crossing city. Yu Yang's ID token was an internal token of the Grim Reaper. It represented the higher-ups of the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper was so famous that the team leader didn't dare to offend him. Yu Yang only said he would go in and watch. He didn't say anything. As soon as Lu Li and Yu Yang entered the main hall, the Saint King sitting in the main hall looked at Mo Chantian and Yuan Feng and shouted, the matter is already very clear. Do you have anything to say before you make your move? Ha ha. Mo Chantian sneered and said, young masters of the Flower Zither city not only flirted with me, but also hurt my people. Now you are twisting the truth? Do you really think we are pushovers? How about the Flower Zither city try to kill us? Let's see if the Flower Zither region can stand the wrath of my lord. Chapter 3191. This is bad. Lu Li's heart was weighed down by Mo Chantian's words. This young lady was used to being arrogant at the Tianyue city, and she was spoiled by those young masters. This was the Zither region, and the god of death was far away. More importantly, Celestial Huaqin was a famous, powerful warrior in the Chaotic Star region. She could not act like a young lady here. As Lu Li had expected, the Saint Emperor snorted, no matter how powerful your patriarch is, this is not your home. This is the Zither city, and you must obey the rules of the Zither city. Men, take them down and lock them up. I will report them to the revered immortal, and we will convict them. Wait, Yu Yang could not stand it anymore. He was afraid that Mo Qianqian would do something to the law enforcement team. If she did, the situation would be out of control. He said to the Saint Emperor, "Lord, we are from the God of Death. My surname is Yu. Can we talk in private?" One of the 9 warriors of the God of Death had the surname of Yu. Yu Yang had revealed his identity. The Saint Emperor was surprised. He waved his hand to ask the warriors who wanted to control Mo Qianqian to wait. He pointed to Yu Yang and said, "Come with me." Yu Yang and Lu Li walked to a corridor and followed the Saint Emperor into a side chamber. Yu Yang handed over his token and said, "Our family master is Yu Fighting, a descendant of Patriarch Yu?" The Saint Emperor smiled. He thought about it and asked, "Is that girl's surname Wan or Mo?" Yu Yang answered with a smile, "She is from the Mo family. She is young and ignorant. Please forgive her, my lord." "Okay." The Saint Emperor looked better. Yu Yang's ring glowed. He handed over an interspatial ring and said, "This is for you, my lord. This is just a young man messing around. I think we should let it go." The Saint Emperor checked the interspatial ring with psychic power. There were 1 billion celestial stones in it. Yu Yang was generous, but he didn't take the interspatial ring. He said with embarrassment, "The young master here is Patriarch Wei's great-grandson. He is the only one in his generation. So, this is a bit difficult." Yu Yang frowned and asked, "Patriarch Wei?" The Saint Emperor explained, "He is only second to the revered immortal at the Zither region." "Understood." Yu Yang once again took out a space ring and handed it over, saying, "I'll have to ask Sir to handle this matter. This is only a small matter, but if it becomes too big, it won't be good for either side, right?" This time, Yu Yang handed over 2 billion celestial stones, which added up to a total of 3 billion celestial stones. The Saint Emperor kept it with satisfaction and nodded. "I will go and mediate this matter. Ask that last to calm down first. If she continues to make a fuss, I will not be able to control the situation." Yu Yang nodded. The Saint Emperor walked out and ordered the guards to bring Mo Qianqian and Yuan Feng away. Yu Yang transmitted a message to Mo Qianqian, telling her not to cause a ruckus and to stay put. If this matter blew up, it would be very troublesome. In any case, Mo Qianqian did not suffer any injuries. Mo Qianqian angrily followed the guard, and Yuan Feng did not dare to say anything. That young master had indeed flirted with Mo Qianqian a few times. Although Mo Qianqian had changed her appearance, she was still a stunning beauty. Her strength had also been suppressed to the overlord stage. It was inevitable that she would attract bees and butterflies when she walked on the streets. That young Master Qiong was not strong either. He was only at the early stage Saint Emperor realm. As the protector, how could Yuan Feng miss such an opportunity? He immediately went to argue with that young master and even pushed him. He thought that young Master Qiong would not dare to attack him in the city. He did not expect young Master Qiong's subordinate to attack him and nearly killed him. At the end of the day, both sides were at fault. However, there was no such thing as right or wrong in this world. The one with the bigger fist was the truth. This was still young Master Qiong's territory. If young Master Qiong could not even handle this, how was she going to survive in the Zither flower domain in the future? The Zither flower domain had 4 martial experts who were extremely close to the perfection realm. Young Master Qiong's great-grandfather was one of them. He was also the second in command of the Zither flower domain. If it was an ordinary young master, this elder from the law enforcement team would have immediately released Mo Qianqian once he knew her identity. At the end of the day, the faction behind young Master Qiong was not afraid of the Mo clan. The Grim Reaper would not start an all-out war with the Zither flower domain over such a small matter, right? The exalted immortal of Huaqin and the powerful warriors of the Zither flower domain were not as powerful as the God of Death. That being said, if the God of Death wanted to wipe out the Zither flower domain, he would suffer a great loss as well. By then, both sides would suffer. Yu Yang and the others left to wait. Now that Mo Tianqian's identity was revealed, the law enforcement team would not do anything rash. Therefore, Yu Yang and the others just had to wait for the elder to mediate. Based on Yu Yang's speculation, if the higher-ups of the Zither Flower Domain were not stupid, they would let Mo Tianqian go. This is not a big deal. It was normal for kids to fight. If the matter was blown up and the higher-ups of the Mo family were alarmed, the Zither Flower Domain would suffer as well. Yu Yang and Lu Li found a tavern nearby to stay and waited. Inside the tavern, Lu Li began to set up. He asked Blood Fairy to build a divine rune, and he himself built a one-way teleportation formation. Lu Li, why are you doing this? Yu Yang looked at Lu Li with confusion. Are you worried that the Zither Flower Domain will not let Mo Tianqian go? They will not let us go? No. Lu Li shook his head. I'm worried that Mo Tianqian will do something rash. She has always been treated like a princess. I don't think she has ever been humiliated like this. She is strong. Once she does something rash, we will have to leave this place at once and then run. Really? Yu Yang blinked and said, Mo Tianqian's IQ and EQ are both high. She is not a brainless young lady. She will not do anything rash. It is always better to be careful, Lu Li said. Then, he went back to work. Blood Fairy built some divine runes in the castle, while Yu Yang and Lu Li waited. Boom! 2 hours later, there came a loud noise from the mansion of the city. Lu Li and Yu Yang checked with psychic power at once. They saw Mo Tianqian and Yuan Feng flying up. In Mo Tianqian's hand was a hostage. It was a young master in a fancy robe. His chest was covered in blood. He was badly injured. No! Yu Yang yelled. He was about to rush out when Lu Li stopped him and said, Don't move. I will send a message to Mo Tianqian. Mo Tianqian, come to us now, Lu Li said. Mo Tianqian used psychic power to check. After the time for one breath, she made up her mind and dashed in with the hostage and Yuan Feng. As soon as Mo Tianqian and the others came in, Lu Li told Blood Fairy to activate the divine runes at once. At the same time, some powerful energy emerged from the city. It was as if some beasts were waking up. Then, more than a dozen people dashed over. Let's go. The one-way teleportation formation that Lu Li had set up was activated. He shouted and dashed into the teleportation formation with Mo Tianqian and Yu Yang. Buzzing, after a flash of white light, Lu Li and the others disappeared into the teleportation formation. Then, the teleportation formation fell apart. The one-way teleportation formation was not far away. It would collapse after the teleportation. Boom! As soon as they were teleported away, a huge hand came down from the sky. The divine runes that Blood Fairy had set up collapsed, and the castle was reduced to dust. Chapter 3192. It turned out that the teleportation formation built by Lu Li was very useful. Yu Qiong's speculation was proven right. Mo Tianqian was messing around. Fire? Then? 1? W? 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 If it weren't for the teleportation formation, they wouldn't have been able to escape and they would all be captured. Even if he wasn't killed, at the very least, his life would be very difficult and he would definitely suffer some torture. They would have to wait for the real boss of death to come before they could be saved. Only Mo Tianqian and Yu Yang could be safe here. Lu Li and the others could be killed. After all, they didn't have any backing. Young Master Qiong's family must establish their power, or how could they convince others? This time, it was not all Mo Tianqian's fault. It was young Master Qiong who was ready to act recklessly. He went to the prison of the law enforcement team with several Saint Emperors. He wanted to take Mo Tianqian down and have sex with her in the prison to vent his anger. The average warriors of the law enforcement team didn't know who Mo Tianqian was. The patriarch had gone to report to Fairy Huaqin. How could the average warriors stop young Master Qiong? That was what happened. Mo Tianqian and Yuan Feng took actions in a fit of rage. They killed one of young Master Qiong's escorts, took him down, and flew up. Mo Tianqian didn't lose her mind. She didn't kill young Master Qiong. She just injured him and took him as hostage. But there were 4 powerful warriors close to the consummate realm in the city. Having young Master Cheong as a hostage didn't make any difference. If it weren't for Lu Li's plan, they would all be captured. Buzzing, Lu Li and the others appeared in the wild. As soon as they came out, Lu Li shouted, "Get into my interspatial artifact. I will take you away." Lu Li's tone was resolute, leaving no room for doubt. Yu Yang and Mo Chantian didn't mind, but Yuan Feng and another warrior, Chingu, were upset. Why did Lu Li have to order them around? What was more, what were they going to do in Lu Li's interspatial artifact? Could Lu Li take them away? If Lu Li died, they would all be implicated. Yu Yang had no objection. Mo Chantian waved young Master Cheong and said, "I will kill this one first." "You dare to kill me?" Young Master Cheong was injured and sealed, but he was not afraid at all. He said with a cold smile, "If you kill me, you will all die and your race will be wiped out." Pa! Lu Li slapped him on the face. Then he took out a dagger and stabbed at young Master Cheong's crotch in a flash. He even twisted the dagger inside. Young Master Cheong let out a miserable cry. His eyes were filled with humiliation. His penis was castrated by Lu Li in front of a pretty girl. Even though it could be restored in the future, he would remember this humiliation for the rest of his life. "I helped you vent your anger. Let him go," Lu Li said casually. Mo Chantian glared at young Master Cheong with hatred and threw him to the ground. After some thoughts, she even stepped on his face and said, "Let's go." Lu Li put Mo Chantian into his interspatial artifact, and then Yu Yang did the same. The two of them said nothing and didn't resist at all. Lu Li glanced over to Yuan Feng and Chun Gu and coldly said, "Are you coming in or not? If you don't want to come in, then think of a way to escape." Yuan Feng and Chun Gu looked at each other and chose to believe in Mo Chantian and Yu Yang. They didn't resist and were taken in by Lu Li. Lu Li used occult concealment and flew to the distance. He believed that the Flower Zither region would be locked down soon. If he didn't get out now, then he would be tracked down. After all, there were 4 powerful warriors that were almost at the consummate realm. The void was not locked down yet. Lu Li snuck out. He didn't stop and flew toward the ancient moon universe where he had his mission. Young Master Cheong was still alive, and Mo Chantian and Yu Yang were of high status. Lu Li believed that the Flower Zither region would send out an army to search and then send a letter to the god of death. After that, the matter would be left unsettled. Make a big fuss? The Flower Zither region had angered the god of death. What awaited them would be assassinations from everywhere. Hua Zither celestial being was not stupid. He wouldn't do anything rash. After flying for half a day, Lu Li was relieved to see that there were no pursuers. The Flower Zither region only had 4 powerful warriors that were almost at the consummate realm. They wouldn't go after him in person. Average armies and Saint Kings wouldn't be able to find him. At the moment, the Flower Zither city was bustling with activity. Many armies were mobilized and nearby cities were locked down. Teams of armies and scouts were sent out to search all over the world. Lu Li used a one-way teleportation formation, so he could only teleport somewhere nearby. He couldn't have gone far. Young Master Cheong was the only male of his generation in the family. If he was killed, then there would be no family line. Many powerful warriors and armies were sent out. In a couple of hours, they found young Master Cheong. Young Master Cheong was badly injured. His lower body was a mess. It was a horrible sight. Fortunately, he wasn't dead. After young Master Cheong was saved, Hua Zither celestial being left alone. After all, young Master Cheong's great-grandfather was disgraced. He would go and find him himself. It wasn't a big deal as long as no one was dead. Those were also young masters and young ladies of the god of death. Making a scene would only result in a lose-lose situation. Young Master Cheong's great-grandfather was enraged. He had been humiliated. His great-grandson was captured, and he used force in the city. This was a slap to his face. He locked down the Flower Zither region and sent out several teams of scouts to search for young Master Cheong. The entire Flower Zither region sent out armies and scouts to search for Lu Li and the others. Of course, Their efforts were futile. Lu Li and the others were already hundreds of millions of miles away. Lu Li went to 2 small universes and changed his appearance and chi several times. He had been stealthily flying all the way. 3 days later, Lu Li went to another small universe. He was sure that there were no pursuers. Along the way, he set up some small runes at the places he stopped so he was not alarmed. Theoretically speaking, there shouldn't be any pursuers. He let Mo Qianqian out. Yuan Feng and Chen Gu were worried these days. But Yu Yang and Mo Qianqian were not worried. They had been cultivating leisurely. Yu Yang came out, looked around, and asked, "Where are we?" Lu Li took out a map and said, "This should be the Hulu region. This is it." Yu Yang glanced over and nodded, saying, "Then it should be safe. There are no pursuers these days, right?" "No." Lu Li nodded and said, "I don't think so. I escaped as soon as I could. Also, we didn't kill young Master Qiong. I don't think Hua Zither will make a big fuss." Lu Li, Mo Qianqian said awkwardly, "Thank you. I owe you one." Mo Qianqian was a bit impulsive this time, but she had high EQ and IQ, so she didn't kill young Master Qiong. She knew very well that if it weren't for Lu Li, she wouldn't have died, but she would have been humiliated. If the higher-ups of the Mo family came to pick her up, it would be a blow to her reputation and prestige. Yuan Feng and Chen Gu were not moved. Mo Qianqian threw them a cold glance and said, "Aren't you going to thank Lu Li? If it weren't for him, all of you would have died." Yu Yang nodded and said, "Don't you know how to be grateful?" Both of them had spoken. Although Yuan Feng and Chen Gu were somewhat dissatisfied, they still bowed and said, "Thank you, Lord Lu. Let's go. Let's finish the task first." Lu Li waved his hand. They flew out of the region. Yu Yang took out a battleship and flew toward the ancient moon region. Chapter 3193. After 7 days, the battleship arrived at the ancient moon universe. Along the way, Lu Li had been monitoring the surroundings. Once there was a slight fluctuation in space, he would ask Yu Yang to change the direction of the battleship. W, 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 W. For the past 7 days, under Lu Li's control, the battleship didn't run into a single warrior or a single battleship. Lu Li's ability made the warriors look at him in a different light. He was a natural-born assassin. All his strange abilities were what assassins dreamed of. Let's go to the ancient moon universe. Mo Qianqian waved her hand at the huge universe in front of them. Lu Li asked coldly, "Why are we going to the ancient moon universe? What are we going to do?" Mo Qianqian was confused and asked, "To contact the employer, of course. What else are we going to do? Go sightseeing?" Lu Li and Yu Yang looked at each other. They were wondering how Mo Qianqian, the trump card of the Grim Reaper, could reach this level. Lu Li didn't even bother to explain. Yu Yang explained, "This wandering bandit legion can come and go as they please in the nearby universes. They're local bandits. It is very likely that there are moles in the ancient moon world. Even the big families in the ancient moon world may have moles. So, we cannot go to the employer. If we do, we might tell the wandering bandit legion that we are here to wipe them out. By then, we might be ambushed instead." Mo Qianqian was smart. She understood immediately. She blushed and asked, "Then what do you think we should do?" "That's easy," Lu Li said. "Let's kill our way to where they are. Let's find them and assassinate some of them first." Yu Yang nodded and said, "When I was at the Flower Zither realm, the Hall of Intelligence gave me some information. The Wandering Bandit Legion should be at the Meru realm now. Let's go there and find them first." "Okay, we will do as you say," Mo Qianqian said readily. The battleship flew on. Yu Yang took out a document and handed it to Lu Li. "Take a look at the Meru realm first." Lu Li took it over and read it with a frown. He gave it to Mo Qianqian, who then gave it to Yuan Feng and the others. The Meru realm was a strange one nearby. The terrain was complicated, and it was a dangerous place. This was also the reason why they had never been able to exterminate this army. In fact, when the nearby realms joined forces, the number of experts they had far exceeded that of the bandit army. The Meru realm was a huge domain, but there were many small domains inside. For example, if you entered a cave, you might enter a small world. If you jumped into a river, you might enter another small world. The Meru realm didn't have any resources, but it had a very powerful poisonous insect and a lot of poisonous miasma. Basically, no one wanted to come to this place. The formidable martial artists from the great races had tried to kill them a few times, but they failed because of the complicated terrain. Instead, a few sane emperors had been killed by the bandits. This mission is very difficult. A 7-star mission. I think it should be an 8-star mission. Yuan Feng murmured. Mo Qianqian glanced over to Yu Yang and Lu Li and asked, "What are your thoughts?" Lu Li didn't say anything. Yu Yang thought about it and said, "There are 2 ways. First, take the initiative and find them. The second way is to lure them out. Let's go to the mountain realm first." After Lu Li said this, Yu Yang said nothing more. To Yu Yang, Lu Li had become the leader. This was a habit he had developed in the Great Desolation Valley. Lu Li's calmness, wisdom, accuracy in judgment, and ability to deal with difficulties were far better than Yu Yang. Yu Yang only needed to listen to Lu Li's commands and attack. Mo Qianqian said nothing this time as well. It seemed that Lu Li had become the leader of the team. The battleship flew away quickly. In 3 days, they arrived at the Meru realm. Lu Li flew out first, and the other warriors followed him. They found an entrance and entered the Meru realm. As expected, the Meru realm was gray and gloomy. The spiritual energy inside was thin, and the flowers and trees below were dark in color. The entire world was bleak and cold. Mountains were shrouded in gray mist everywhere. One could tell that the mist was poisonous. "You guys stay here." Lu Li pointed to a cave and said, "Stay here and don't run away. If there are enemies attacking you, just kill them. If there are powerful enemies and you can't beat them, then leave and leave a mark." Yu Yang understood what Lu Li meant. But Mo Qianqian said, "You're going to explore by yourself? Aren't you looking down on us a little? We are the elites of the Grim Reaper." Lu Li threw her a casual glance and said, "It's not that I don't trust you. The terrain here is complicated. I think there are enemy scouts everywhere. If too many of us go, we will be exposed. Once we are exposed, our mission will fail. You don't want to stay here for years or even more than a decade, do you?" Mo Qianqian touched her pretty nose but said nothing. She didn't look happy either. Even though Lu Li said this, he was still implying that he was looking down on their abilities. He was afraid that they would be spotted by the scouts of the wandering bandits. "Okay," Yu Yang said, "let's stay here and listen to Lu Li. We don't have to do anything. We could just sit here and cultivate. Isn't that good?" With that said, Yu Yang threw a jade talisman to Lu Li and said, "If you need help, activate the jade talisman and we will go as soon as possible. I can sense the location of the jade talisman." "Okay." Lu Li put away the jade talisman and flew away like a ghost. He disappeared in midair. Now that he had used the divine concealment skill, no one could find him. I have to say, he really has a lot of strange skills, Mo Qianqian exclaimed. Yuan Feng looked at Lu Li's back and asked, "Is he really at the Emperor realm?" Yu Yang nodded his head and said, "It's the real deal, but his battle strength can kill you in a second, and also me in a second." Yuan Feng and Chenggu looked at each other in shock. Yu Yang wouldn't lie, and he wouldn't belittle himself to elevate Lu Li. Then they remembered the rumor that Luan Shi had been defeated by Lu Li. "He is a freak," Chenggu exclaimed. Mo Qianqian pouted and said, "If he is not a freak, how can the headquarters give him the title of Grim Reaper? There is no back door for him." "Wait and see." Yu Yang walked to the cave and began to set up. He put down some small runes on the outside and built an illusion formation at the entrance. He also copied Lu Li and built a one-way teleportation formation in the cave. After half a day, Yu Yang finished all the arrangements. The 4 Grim Reapers sat with their legs crossed in the cave. They didn't rest. Instead, they took out some materials to analyze the situation of the mountain realm and the wandering bandits so that they could be prepared for the upcoming battle. After a long time, Yu Yang put away the materials. He looked at Mo Qianqian and exclaimed, "Everything is ready except for the crucial moment." It all depends on whether Li can find the wandering bandits. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.